NFL 78 continues from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City as the Seattle Seahawks go against the Kansas City Chiefs. And today, a quarterback matchup of the veteran Mike Livingston of Kansas City. He comes off a strong game, although in defeat in overtime last week against San Diego. Matched up with Jim Zorn of Seattle, the AFC's top passer, the young man who has become a folk hero in Seattle. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Paul McGuire, and we say that Livingston comes off a strong game. In fact, Paul, Kansas City has played well over the last 4 games. However, the bottom line, they've won only 1 of those games. They are 2 up and 9 down, while Seattle comes in at 5-6, and they come off a tough loss at the hands of the oncoming Baltimore Colts. And Seattle now with that record of 5 up and 6 down with that very impressive offense. We talk about quarterback Jim Zorn and, of course, Steve Largent. And a running back who many people around the country are not that familiar with at this point, although out in Seattle they are well familiar with this guy, David Sims.
Well, David Sims, he leads the National Football League in touchdowns, and they're all rushing. And if Kansas City really wants to stay in this football game today, they have to stop this man. David Sims, a good football player, and runs very well with the football, as it's obvious because of the 10 touchdowns.
Kansas City also has another problem. Talk about the running game of Sims in tandem with number 47, Sherman Smith, but that other problem is number 80. Bum Phillips of Houston traded away Steve Largent a couple of years ago, says it's the worst trade he ever made.
For him, not for Seattle. Now, Seattle, here's a man that's caught 46 passes, but I think the thing that's most impressive is that it's over a 17-yard average. He also has 5 touchdowns. He's an excellent football player, good receiver. I like to see this man catch the ball because he can catch in a crowd, and he doesn't worry about being hit.
Seattle, as many of you are aware, a high-powered offense, a team of the future. They have really done extremely well for an expansion club. And from the Kansas City point of view, it will be a tremendous chore for their defense to stop this ball club. I know they are delighted with the play of a couple of rookies up front, particularly the young man, number 2 draft pick, by the name of Dirty, and I say that affectionately. He is a rookie by the name of Sylvester Hicks.
Well, Sylvester Hicks leads the team in sacks. He's the man they depend on. He's only a rookie. He's got another rookie at the right end, and he's got another rookie in the middle. So it's going to be exciting for me to see if Kansas City can get to Zorn.
And it will be the wing T offense of the... Paul, this afternoon here at Kansas City, the Seahawks of Seattle will be taking a close-up look at that wing T offense of Kansas City's Marv Levy, and we discussed it earlier. I get the feeling you are not one of the great fans of that wing T offense.
I'm really not. I just don't see how a team, if you get behind, can catch up with the wing T. You have to throw the football. About 4 weeks ago, I did the Kansas City-Pittsburgh game. In the game, it was 20-3 at halftime. Pittsburgh was ahead. I said on the air, if Kansas City wants to get back in this football game, they have to throw the football. Now, into that game, Livingston threw the ball, I think, 86 times. In that game, he threw 28 times. They almost came back and won. Last week, he threw 27 times. They almost won against San Diego. They have to throw the ball instead of controlling it.
This offense that was virtually abandoned by the National Football League some 20 years ago. Kansas City Chiefs have been utilizing it, and as we mentioned, the end result, record of 2 up and 9 down. That about wraps things up for NFL 78. The executive producer of NFL 78 is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show was produced by Don McGuire. Directed by Steve Rosen. Technical director Sal Nikita. And our Associate Director, Mary Buda. Coming up next, here at Arrowhead Stadium on a cool, crisp day in Kansas City, Missouri, the Seahawks of Seattle, the Chiefs of Kansas City.
NBC Sports presents the best of the National Football League, the American Football Conference. To you by Dodge and your Dodge dealer, who invite you to come in and see why people are saying, hey, that's my Dodge. By Schlitz, beer makes it good. Schlitz makes it great. And by Polaroid's new Sonar One Steps, the only cameras that focus automatically with sound waves.
welcome you back to Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri, as the Seattle Seahawks take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Paul McGuire. And Paul, about this time, with things winding down and both the AFC and the NFC, still a whole batch of playoff positions that are up for grabs. You look at Denver, 7-4. Oakland Raiders, 7 up, 4 down. Denver home today for Green Bay. Oakland is home for Detroit. Seattle at 5-6. Kansas City at 2 up and 9 down. In the AFC Central, Pittsburgh, 2 full games in front of Houston. The Steelers are home today for 1-10 Cincinnati. Houston has a game tomorrow night at Miami. And of course, Cleveland 5-6, and the Bengals really suffering at 1-10. In the Eastern Division of the AFC, Miami Dolphins 8-3. The Patriots of New England 8 up, 3 down. New England playing the Jets at Shea Stadium in New York. Baltimore at 5-6, and Buffalo 3-8.
And in that Jet game, the Jets are up 7-3 right now.
And there is the man who has brought the wing tee that we discussed to Kansas City, Marv Levy.
Well, we'll get into the wing tee, and I'll try to show
How are you, young man?
how bad it is.
All right, you're going to call it loud and clear in the air. Tail! He called it tail.
They got
It's a
two
hit.
teams out there right now, Mark.
Which way you want to kick? That side, please. Kansas City will receive. Good luck.
All right, Kansas City to receive. As you look at today's officials, Seattle coming off the loss to Baltimore. Despite David Sims' third 100-yard rushing game of the season, Seattle has beaten the Jets, Detroit, Minnesota by 1, beat Oakland 27-7, beat the Chicago Bears, Seattle losing to San Diego, Pittsburgh, Denver twice, once in overtime, and losses to Green Bay and Baltimore. Kansas City with victories over Cincinnati in their opener, and Cleveland 4 weeks ago. They've been beaten by Houston, the Giants, Denver in overtime, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Oakland, Pittsburgh by 3 points, Oakland again, and last week that overtime defeat to San Diego. And that had to be tough, Paul. Final play of the overtime, Dan Fouts hitting Jefferson for a 14-yard score.
Well, you know, in this game today, we just had a shot a moment ago of Livingston. I would love to see this guy throw the ball about 35 times, and I think that's the only way that they're going to beat Seattle.
You are looking at Efren Herrera tee up the football. And here is Eddie Payton, the second-year pro out of Jackson State, and an impressive kick return average. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. And we are underway here at Arrowhead. Eddie Payton. Good coverage as he gets up to the 23-yard line. Cornell Webster in on the stop. So the Kansas City Chiefs now, the number 2 rushing team in the AFC, on the way to breaking all kinds of club records. But as we keep mentioning and perhaps overstressing, that record shows 2 up and 9 down. You can really throw out those statistics. As you look at the offensive unit, the quarterback is Mike Livingston, and that wing tee with Tony Reed, Arnold Morgano, Ted McKnight. Wide receiver Henry Marshall. Tight end is Walter White. First down for Kansas City. And this is Reed off the right side across the 25-yard line. Reed has had a superb year. He has averaged close to 5 yards per carry. That time brought down by the strong safety, number 27, Autry Beeman. Offensive line, Matt Hergenhoff, Bob Simmons, Jack Rudney, Tom Condon, Charlie Getty.
Very good offensive line.
It is a 2nd and 8 now for KC. And this is Morgano. He was a doubtful coming in, hardly worked at all this week, broke his nose in the overtime last week. But here he is in the starting lineup, second-year man out of Hawaii, stopped by John Harris, the free safety, and right defensive end, Bill Gregory.
All right, the Seattle Seahawks defense, they're 10th in rushing defense, and we're going to see the number 2 rushing team The defensive line, Ernie Price, Dennis Boyd, Bill Sandifer, and Bill Gregory, good football players.
It is a 3rd and 3. And Livingston will throw for the first time, and he is right at the first down marker, and we'll have to wait and see where his forward progress will stop. The reception by Ted McKnight, and they are calling for the yardsticks.
Seattle really had that play pretty well covered, and all that pass did, he just dumped the ball off.
McKnight was bumped, was able to pull away and able to pick it up. So a first down for Kansas City at their 34-yard line.
The linebackers for Seattle, Sammy Green, Keith Butler, and Terry Beeson in the middle. Good football player, Terry Beeson. The problem with Seattle, I think, is in their defensive backs. They're 3rd to the last in pass defense. Cornell Webster, David Brown, Autry Beeman, and John Harris.
Horace Belton in at running back now, along with Arnold Morgado. And the fumble recovered by Kansas City. Quarterback Mike Livingston on the recovery. Bill Sandifer covering him up.
They had a blitzing linebacker that time, Keith Butler, number 53, and he almost had the ball. What happens with this run offense, or wing T, or whatever you want to call it, is that there isn't an awful lot of trickery in the game. You just play basic heads-up football, one-on-one, toe-to-toe, and you try to beat the man in front of you.
Well, now the 2nd and 12 should be a passing situation as Larry Dorsey, number 80, has come on. And Livingston to throw for the 2nd time, throwing on the run, and he's got the tight end, Walter White, hit down by Autry Beeman. So Walter White, a 4-year pro out of Maryland, with his 31st reception of the season, and he is just short of a first down. It'll be a 3rd and 1 for Kansas City.
You know, Walter White has got to go down in the National Football League now this year as one of the premier tight ends. They started at the beginning of the year even with this run-orientated offense, throwing the ball to Walter White, and then all of a sudden they quit. To come back into football games, they go back to Walter White, who is one of their primary targets.
And it is Morgado collecting the first down. Arnold Morgado, averaging just under 4 yards per carry, has picked up the first down.
Rodney Simmons and Herkenhoff, this is where they go. They like to run to the left-hand side of the line. You see Ted McKnight in motion, and it's just a straight dive play. He picks up the first down.
It is a first down at the Kansas City 46-yard line. This is Reed starting out as a sweep and then finding an opening, breaking out to midfield. Tony Reed is a 2nd-year man out of Colorado. Last year as a rookie, rushed for 505 yards to rank 2nd behind a fellow NBC commentator by the name of Ed Podolak.
That's pretty good company.
Well, that takes all the credit for the progress of Tony Reed.
Well, you can't blame him.
It is a 2nd and 6 now at the 50. No score. We're early in the game as Reed goes in motion. And the ball carrier, Ted McKnight, on the slant, picks up 4 on the play. Some very impressive rushing statistics as you look at this Kansas City backfield.
That play they just ran is a cross trap, and what happens, actually it's a false trap. The guard on that side of the field, Marv, he pulls to the right, and they bring the McKnight back into the hole with nobody blocking that tackle, hoping that the guard pulling will pull him out of there. If that ever opens up, he's gone.
Well, it sets up for 3rd and 2, and here is Morgado diving across for the first down. Last week, he rushed for 115 yards against the San Diego Chargers. And despite that broken nose, off to a good start.
Well, Bob Simon's the guy that goes in the middle and gets the block. But this is just straight dive football. Again, I say, when you take a look at this football, to me, it's very boring, number one, to watch, handoffs. It's the old Miami, run, if only pass when you have to. But in the Miami case, they won a lot of football games. This team hasn't.
All right, first down play, and Reed comes spinning off the right side. Stopped by middle linebacker Terry Beeson. San Diego and Minnesota are tied at 7 in the second quarter. And look at that scores. The Cardinals have suddenly turned it, going for 4 in a row after the horror show start. The Jets in front of New England. Several weeks ago, Patriots clobbered the Jets. And on 2 touchdowns thrown by Parkway Joe Pisarcik, Giants leading the Eagles 14-0. It is a 2nd and 6. And here is Ted McKnight. Had the opening, and then it was closed up. Bill Sandifer in on the stop, along with John Harris. Tampa Bay down south, leading Buffalo 10-0. Second quarter.
People are booing here because they thought they had a face mask penalty that time on number 56, Sammy Green, the linebacker. He was just a good tackle.
Arthur Lane has come on, Paul. Larry Dorsey back in at wide receiver. Now they're the conventional throw set for this 3rd and 4. And Livingston will go to the air. And he completes it. MacArthur Lane looking for that first down marker and then bump back the other way. We'll have to hit. Yes, he did pick it up. 36-year-old MacArthur Lane. He is the oldest running back in the National Football League and has had a good year.
On the 2 passing downs, when they went to the basic or the pro set, Seattle did not rush anybody but the 3 down linemen, and they're holding 4 linebackers. What they have to do is start the blitz on that 3rd down and long situation.
First down, number 31. Nice move by Morgado. And Sandifer with Green in on the stop.
The right linebacker, Keith Butler, number 53, just overruns the play in the backfield. This is the end of the play. You see Morgado downfield, and what happened is once he got into the open, he just put a little hip move on Bill Gregory, number 77, and he picked up 4 yards.
It is a 2nd and 6. Down at the Seattle 27-yard line. And again, it is Morgado. This time he is muddled up trying to reach out to the 25. Kansas City in complete control of the football here in the first quarter, which is the philosophy behind that wing T offense. Stop yawning, Paul.
Well, no, I'm just saying we could be out of here by 1:30 and catch an earlier flight.
We have only 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter. It is a 3rd and 4 at the 25. Mike Livingston thus far 3 for 3, 21 yards. This time Livingston being chased by Green goes incomplete. Sammy Green, the left linebacker, in pursuit, but there is a penalty marker thrown down.
You know, he called intentional grounding, and I was looking to see, but there's only one problem with this. Number 21, Arnold Morgado, was downfield right at the line of scrimmage, but Livingston chose to throw the ball about 10 yards over his head. He really did throw the ball away. This is an excellent call by the official, even though Morgado was in line with the ball.
Legal forward pass, offense, loss of down, number 10.
Now you're going to see here, Livingston White, you see 21 Morgado, look him at the bottom of your screen. Now he's covered. You see the linebacker, Keith Butler, 53's on him. There's just no place to throw the football, so Livingston throws the ball out of bounds. Even though Morgado was there, it was intentional grounding. Unusual call, but a good one.
And Seattle gets a chance to touch the football. The punt by Zenon Andruseshin. Rufus Crawford lets it roll in. And they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. The Seahawks will finally take possession with 5:39 remaining in this first quarter. Here at Arrowhead, we are scoreless.
Now look at the bottom left of your screen. You see 53 Butler and Morgado 21. But watch now, when Livingston throws the ball, Morgado is looking downfield. He's not even looking at the football. Livingston throws the ball out of bounds. It's an unusual call, but a heck of a good call by the official.
Seattle finally sees that football. 5:39 remaining first quarter, and the #1 passing team in the AFC up to the line, led by their quarterback Jim Zorn. Sherman Smith and David Sims are the running backs. First down at their 20-yard line. And the handoff for Sims. And he's able to pick his way through for 5 yards. Clarence Sanders, number 50, inside linebacker, left side, makes the stop.
Come on, Zorn, throw the ball.
Jim Zorn, one of the most exciting quarterbacks in the National Football League, has completed 56%, 10 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. David Sims, as we mentioned on the pregame, leads the NFL in touchdowns with 10. It is a 2nd and 5. And again, it's Sims. Penalty marker thrown down as Sims picks up the first down. But a flag in the backfield. Again, Sanders in on the tackle.
I got a head, Bob. I got a head, Bob.
He's going to call this against Seattle, I think, and I can hear the official saying, "I get a head, Bob."
Yes.
He drew the defense offside.
It's a head, Bob. It's a head, Bob. I've a head, Bob, on the quarterback, number 10. First time.
He's not allowed to. You got to tell Zorn he's not allowed to bob his head when he calls signals.
All right, the Seattle receivers, Sam McCullum. Steve Largent, second in receiving the AFC with 46 catches, and the tight end is Ron Howard, big guy out of the University of Seattle. Back to the 21 for a 2nd and 9 for Zorn. Don Testerman stopped by Bergmeyer and Still. Don Testerman, who is playing with bruised ribs, 3-year pro out of Clemson. Dick Bebout, Tom Lynch, John Yarno, Bob Newton, and Steve August. Offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks. It is now a 3rd and 6 at the 24 as Kansas City inserts the extra defensive back. Long count by Zorn. And Zorn to throw for the first time, but down he goes. Art Still, the rookie out of Kentucky, #1 draft pick by the Kansas City Chiefs, who has been improving each week, coming on to make the sack.
Well, we said in the beginning, it's going to be exciting to see if these young rookies, defensive linemen, can get to the quarterback, Zorn, and you'll see Still at the right of your screen. He comes in and makes the play. That's just good defensive hustle. With a 3-man rush, and you have 3 rookies up there, you're doing a heck of a job.
Seattle forced to punt quickly. Herman Weaver, averaging just under 38. Getting set to kick away to Eddie Payton, waiting at midfield.
Oh, he hit it.
Oh, nice hang time, Paul. This is Payton, picking up the block. And fumbling. And it's recovered by Seattle.
That's better than a pass.
A long gainer, as it turns out, for the Seahawks. Up near midfield. Seattle will take over with 3:38 remaining of this first quarter. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks scoreless.
The game-breaking plays, the hottest new craze, all pros in action, the latest in fashion, straight-talking views and late-breaking news. The pregame show that has it all, NFL 78.
Here's the fumble. Watch number 68, Dennis Boyd, and Keith Butler, 53. They play sandwich with Eddie Payton, and you see the ball pop out. That's just a good hit. And number 48, Keith Simpson, their #1 draft choice, recovers a fumble.
All right, Paul, Seattle with a break. First down at their 47-yard line. Sherman Smith and David Sims are the running backs. And this is Sims with a penalty marker thrown down. He tried the middle, picked up just a yard. And a flag on the play. Art Still on the stop.
Well, I think number 61, Don Parrish, the nose man was the man that was offside. Whether they're going to call head bobbing again, I don't know. It's difficult for me to understand. Wait a minute, we'll see here. It is. It's difficult for me to understand, Marv, that how the man, the nose man, the guy over the ball can be offside.
And as you mentioned, that is Don Parrish, first-year player out of the University of Pittsburgh. He is up front with the rookies Art Still, Sylvester Hicks flanking him. There is Parrish.
Well, he better either check his eyes or else he's not playing with a full deck.
Unnecessary roughness, number 53. First down.
Whitney Paul. That's after the play.
The roughness was called on Paul after the play. The offside indicated on Parrish. So it's a first down at the 39. And Seattle has advanced that football by virtue of this penalty that has hit the Chiefs hard. And the fumble. Here's Smith. Trying to make the turn, but could not get going. Strong safety Tim Gray staying right with him.
Well, here's the Kansas City defense. They're third in pass defense. Maybe that's why Zorn really hasn't thrown the ball up yet. The young defensive line, all first-year men, all rookies. Art Still, Don Parrish, and the man we talked about, Sylvester Hicks. Good football players. They're going to have a good defensive line when these guys get together. Linebackers, Whitney Paul, Dave Rosemick, Thomas Howard, and Clarence Sanders is replacing Gary Spaney, who was injured during the week.
2nd and 6. The give for Sims, number 35, goes nowhere. David Sims stopped by that front three. Sylvester Hicks in on the tackle. Clarence Sanders, the man Paul just referred to, first-year pro out of the University of Cincinnati.
Good defensive backfield. Gary Green, Tim Gray, Gary Barbaro, the weak safety, I think, is one of the finest in football. In the right corner, Tim Collier.
It is now 3rd and 5 at the 34-yard line. 2:36 left first quarter, and a timeout is called. We'll be back in a moment. Marv Albert and Paul McGuire from Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. First of 3 straight home games for the Chiefs of Kansas City. And right now, looking at Seattle's 3rd and 5, and Zorn off the play action. He can run too, but he gets it away, and a great catch made by Logic. Gary Green bumping him out of bounds, but it's a first down for Seattle.
This was supposed to be a long pass pattern, and to give you an idea what a great receiver Largent is, number 80, watch what he does here. He runs that corner, and watch how far back he comes to the ball. He sees Zorn in trouble, comes back 8 yards, catches the ball, first down. Excellent pass receiver.
First down now at the Kansas City 19, and the Seahawks are on the move. First completion of the day by Zorn, who was sacked earlier. Again, off the roll. Zorn on the run, but goes incomplete. And Mr. Excitement has now started to go into his act. He is really something to watch.
Well, he had John Sawyer, number 81, coming across the middle. What happened is Largent went down, cleared everything out. Sawyer was wide open about the 8-yard line, and Zorn just overthrew him.
Now makes for a 2nd and 10 as you look at Seattle head coach Jack Patera, who has done a tremendous job with this ball club. Originally signed a 3-year contract, was given an extension through the 1980 season. 2nd and 10 at the 19. This time Sherman Smith stopped by the nose tackle, Don Parrish.
You notice they say that running sets up pass plays, Marv. In this case with the Seattle team, their passing sets up a lot of their run plays. And that play there was set up by the pass before. And they just faked the ball to David Sims and handed off to Sherman Smith and went right up the middle for 6 yards, 7 yards. Good play.
3rd and about 4 as Logic goes to the left side. And Ferguson to the right. Running backs out of the eye. Sims in front of Smith. Wonderful fake, but a penalty marker down. Smith going the middle, stopped by Parrish, but a flag is down. Rosenick also in on the tackle. Penalty against Seattle.
That's a holding penalty in the line. This Seattle team, they have 21 touchdowns on the ground, and all 21 touchdowns are by 3 guys that are on the field right now. Sims has 10, Smith has 5, and Zorn, the quarterback, has 6 of them. They're an exciting football team.
Zorn's rushing average is 5.5 yards.
Holding.
He's got the best in the league, doesn't he, in the National Football League, or close to it.
Jim Zorn, a 3-year pro out of California Poly, the only starting quarterback in the NFL that was not drafted, signed as a free agent by Dallas, was cut, sat out a year, then signed with the Seahawks. Off the hold, 3rd and 14, back at the 23. Emmitt Thomas is in as the extra defensive back for Kansas City. Off the play action. Zorn being chased, gets it away, and it is deflected, broken up. Both Rabel and Largent downfield. Good rush by number 53, Whitney Paul. And here is Efren Herrera with 49 seconds remaining in this first quarter to attempt the field goal. And Herrera thus far 7 for 14. Zorn will hold. This will be a 40-yard attempt. He is only 2 for 7 from 40 and beyond, so let's see. And it is good. Herrera drilling it right through, and the Seahawks with 44 seconds remaining in this first quarter jump in front of the Chiefs by the score of 3-0. There's the man who kicked the 40-yard field goal to put Seattle up by the score of 3-0. And Eddie Payton, the man in the middle, flanked by Arnold Margato and Horace Belton. Payton averaging just under 26 yards per return. Payton takes it to 10, out to the 20. And brought down inside the 30-yard line by Peter Cronin of Seattle. Check of the scores, San Diego and Minnesota at 7 apiece at the half. St. Louis leads Washington by the score of 24-10. New England now in front of the Jets 10-7 at halftime. Giants over the Eagles now 14-6 second quarter. Tampa Bay still leading Buffalo in the second. And New Orleans in front of Dallas, 7-0 first quarter. All right, here is Livingston going sideline and able to complete to Ted McKnight, who was run out by John Harris, the free safety. Correction, incomplete. So it will be a 2nd and 10. The intended receiver was McKnight. 2nd and 10 at the 29-yard line. Time is running down here in the first quarter. Only 32 seconds remaining.
Don't be surprised to see Livingston come out of here with a screen pass of some sort to Tony Reed.
All right, Marshall is to the left side and Dorsey right. Good hard hit on Walter White, the tight end, who makes his second catch of the day out of the 35-yard line. This will make for a 3rd and 4 with 13 seconds left in the quarter.
It's interesting. We talked at the beginning about running the football and continuing to run the football off that wing tee. They get behind by 3 points, Kansas City, and all of a sudden the first 2 plays they came back throwing the football.
Well, the Chiefs let the quarter run out, so that's the end of one here at Arrowhead, with Seattle leading 3-0. Back with the second quarter after. It should be pointed out, the fans immediately booed when your name went up.
What do they know here? They're too cold.
It is what could be labeled a nippy day here in Kansas City as we get underway second quarter, 3rd and 4 for the Chiefs at the 35-yard line. Fumble by Livingston, can't find it.
Seattle ball.
It is their second fumble recovery. Livingston could not find the handle.
At 53, Keith Butler, who has been all over the place, he helped cause a fumble. Livingston just can't get a hold of the ball. Number 66, Bill Sandiford, takes him out of the play. But watch 53, right here, Butler. That's just good heads-up football. This is a fine linebacker.
Seattle first down at the Kansas City 31, looking to cash in on another break. They lead it 3-0 on the 40-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. Sims and Smith are the running backs. Quarterback Zorn throwing on first down, and it is broken up. A hard hit on McCullum, number 84, the right cornerback, Tim Collier, covering well.
Boy, he comes right. Zorn comes right back with a play-action pass, freezes the defense. He gets a good block up front. He hits McCullum, and he doesn't hold on to the football. It's a good throw. Hits him right in the face. I'll tell you one thing, McCullum's not going to remember it or forget it. He said, if you don't catch it, I'll hit you in the head with it.
Tim Collier, 3-year pro, East Texas State, covering on the play. Zorn is now 1 for 4 on the day. This time the handoff for Sims, penalty markers down as Sims picks up a yard. Stopped by Art Still, the left defensive end. All right, a look at the first quarter statistics.
It looks like a score, not stats. 34 yards for the Seahawks total to 60, and they're winning 3-0.
And a fast-moving first quarter with Kansas City, utilizing much of the time with that wing T ground offense.
Defense, offside. Offense, holding.
Don't you like the stage manager up there, Wendy Davis? Every time there's a play for a long run, he hollers, and no flags, and no flags. Everybody's expecting flags nowadays.
Just received word that Don Parrott, the Kansas City middle guard, dislocated his finger, but should be able to return. Offsetting penalties, making 2nd and 10 at the 31. That's Largent in motion. And Zorn pops it to Largent. Out of the 15 and brought out of bounds. Tim Gray, the strong safety, finally throwing Largent out of bounds, but a first down for Seattle.
You know, it's amazing. Largent is the #1 receiver on this team, I think 3rd in the league. And here's a guy that nobody's even near. Now look at the protection that Zorn has. There was a 4-man rush with a blitzing linebacker on the outside, number 52 Howard. But look at how wide open Largent is. There's just absolutely nobody around him.
And this is a guy not known for burning speed as you watch Sims carry down to the 10-yard line. Rosame making the stop on Sims. Largent not known as a burner, but out of the pages of Howard fully. Able to get open at all times. Unbelievable.
Marv, I just looked at the huddle after the running play, just at the running play. Number 51, John Yarno, the center for Seattle, he was already back in the huddle holding his arms up, and they're still running the play. Maybe he's not blocking anybody. His assignment is just to center and get out of there.
2nd and 5 at the 10. Seahawks threatening. Again, it's Sims. And Sims able to break a tackle and bring it in. It appeared the play had stopped. That's number 11 on the season for David Sims.
Well, with that play, Marv, you see why the guy came in with 10, leading the National Football League in touchdowns. Watch what happens. The play is, they're running it to their left. There is absolutely no hole at all. He stops right here, does not stop moving his feet, and watch when he moves back to the other side. Nobody touches the man. Touchdown. Well, it was too late. Gary Green hit him right at the goal line, but just a good play. Good heads-up football.
And Efren Herrera puts up another point, and the Seattle Seahawks have taken a 10-0 lead. As you look at a happy coach, Jack Patera, 10-0 Seattle.
Thanksgiving Day, the interconference clash between the defending AFC champion Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Catch all the action starting with NFL 78 Thursday on NBC.
All right, among the features on NFL 78 this Thanksgiving Day starting at 12, a close-up on how they win the Heisman, the background story of how the Heisman Trophy winner is decided, and it is a complicated formula of politics and media manipulation and public relations work as they select the best football player in college football. The kickoff by Herrera, and it's taken by Horace Pilt, one of the wingmen, up to the 25-30. And hit down at the 33-yard line by Peter Cronin. 13:48 remaining in the second quarter. Seahawks leading the Chiefs by the score of 10-0.
Who do you like as far as the Heisman Trophy winner? Anybody?
That's one that I hesitate because I don't believe in the thing, to be honest with you.
I think they ought to give it to a lineman.
Never have. Not these days. We'll get back to that in a moment. It is a 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line as Otto Margano drives the right side. Who do you like?
Well, LSU with Alexander down there. I like Alexander. He's a good football player. But I would imagine the guy that has the inside track on it has to be Charles White of Southern Cal.
There was a... talk about media manipulation and PR work, which will be featured on NFL 78. There was quite a push for Jack Thompson, the quarterback, the throw-in Samoan. But unfortunately, he has the catchy nickname for him.
It's good.
But unfortunately, his season has been disappointing after the good start. Here's Livingston with lots of time, able to get it off to Reed, but he is well covered. Left defensive end Ernie Price all over Tony Reed.
When you see a quarterback have that much time to throw the football and still completes a 4-yard pass, that's all he gets out of it. You are seeing an excellent defensive football team. And Seattle had everybody covered. They didn't leave their man. And then finally the pressure came and Livingston had to dump the ball off, and they only got like a 3-yard gain out of it. That's good defensive football.
3rd and 5 at the 39. Kansas City just did get an extra man off the field. Livingston still alive and goes incomplete. They almost had 12 men on the field. Ted McKnight just did get off.
Well, again, we saw great defense. They had a blitz on that time. I said they're going to have to start blitzing Livingston on 3rd down. Sammy Green came in, forced Livingston out of the pocket, and he had to throw the ball away.
So Zenon Andrusichin getting set to punt to Rufus Crawford.
I'm glad you say his name.
And Crawford has to chase to the far side, and well, off his hands and out of bounds, and that's where Seattle will put it in play out at the 24-yard line. 12 minutes, 9 seconds remaining in this first half.
Well, Marv, there he is. That's a retired NBC producer. You wonder what happened to him when they leave NBC? Well, there he is.
He is actually a professional fan. Crazy George.
He has to be.
He is paid to be here.
You better be.
For several ball clubs. 1st and 10 from the 24. Sims on the reception. And run out across the 30-yard line by Clarence Sanders.
Tom Lynch, number 61, the left guard. He is the weak side guard. Now, I had a discussion with the producer. Side guard. Up 7 yards. He's the weak side guard again.
2nd down and 3 for Seattle. Beautiful fake again by Zorn as David Sims tried the middle and brings up right near the 1st down marker. Art Still in on the tackle.
What I should explain to the people when I said we were talking about the weak side guard. The weak side guard on a professional football team, the way the formation, the basic pro set, he takes you to the play on almost every play except 2 times. Once when the quarterback bootlegs the ball, that's when the flow goes one way and the quarterback rolls away from the flow to throw a pass. He goes with the flow to pull a linebacker out of there. The other one is on a reverse because they want to get that linebacker on his side away, and you'll see the reverse come back to his side. He will go to the strength of the formation.
And as you just saw, it is a first down for Seattle. A handoff to number 35, Sims. Penalty marker thrown down. As Sims gets across the 40, Rozumek covering up on the play. Seattle head coach Jack Patera, the only head coach of the National Football League who has his own post-game television show immediately after the game.
Holding with the offense, number 81.
With the exciting football team he has, Marv, it's good to have it because win or lose, this is, they're no longer expansion. What's 3 years now, I guess, and you don't call them an expansion team anymore. They're a good, solid football team. They've got a lot of young guys, and when they play together, barring injuries, they're going to eventually be a contender in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they have an injury hit. David Sims and Sherman Smith, because of injuries, have not been together in the backfield the last 4 or 5 years. Now they're both back in action. Off the 1st and 20, he's got the tight end Sawyer. Hart running by Sawyer up to the 38-yard line. John Sawyer, 4-year veteran out of Southern Mississippi. 6'2", 230-pounder, and using it all.
This tells you why this guy is a good quarterback. Now, you watch what Zorn does. He knows that he's going to get nailed by Sylvester Hicks, but he waits and waits and waits until the last second to throw. You see Lynch, 61 out in front, giving a block for Sawyer. But watch this run. He picks up another 8 yards, falling.
And it's a 2nd and 6 at the 39-yard line. Seahawks leading the Chiefs 10-0 here at Arrowhead, Kansas City. Second back, Sherman Smith. And close to that first down marker, lunging forward with the football, Gary Barbaro, the free safety, and Sylvester Hicks, the right defensive end, hit on the stop, and it is a first down. So Sherman Smith has picked it up. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Kansas City Chiefs and the National Football League is prohibited. Sherman Smith wearing his rushing average, 47. Largent with a nice turn move, but finally hammered down at the 45. Gary Green, the left cornerback, and Zorn and the Seahawks are rolling now, looking very fluid.
He really is, and watch what he does to number 46, Tim Gray. Largent at the end of this thing, he puts a move on it, and it really has to make a defensive man feel kind of bad. Now watch the move. He just cuts him back to the inside. You don't throw a shoulder at this man. You better tackle him. Small as he is, he still picks up an extra yard.
And it's a first down at the 44-yard line. 9:15 left first half. Seattle leads 10-0. Smith off the delay. Tried a stutter step and a penalty marker down as Dave Rozumek, the right inside linebacker, makes the tackle on Smith.
I think you might have a holding call out there by Sam McCullum, number 84.
Cleveland Browns have lost 2 in a row. Baltimore has won 2 straight. Colts up by the count of 10-0. 1-yard run by Don McCauley and a 24-yard field goal by Tony Linhart.
Jones playing in that game, do you know? Is he all right, Burt Jones?
We'll get on the phone, Paul. Check it out.
We got 2 guys out here on the phone.
Use of hands. Offense, number 84. First down.
Sam McCullum, the wide receiver, number 84, is hit with the call. It's a 1st and 20 now, back at the 46-yard line. Marv Albert and Paul McGuire from Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Zorn is now 5 for 8, 61 yards. Handoff for Sims. Breaks away and stopped at midfield. Thomas Howard, right outside linebacker, making the tackle.
First of all, Bert Jones is not playing. We already find out. You want a phone call? We got it for you. These guys are fast.
Quick.
They're fast.
Guys don't mess around. Out at midfield, a 2nd and 16.
You got to like the way Seattle sets up their offense. They run plays, they run draws, they've run 2 different types of screens, one to the halfback, one to the tight end. They're running simulated, really, I think it is a simulated reverse on that play there. They're just throwing everything that Kansas City can handle.
Larger to the left. Going looks that way, but goes to Sims. Good hands by David Sims. Good coverage by the Kansas City Chiefs. Clarence Sanders subbing for the injured Gary Spaded. In on the tackle along with Thomas Howard. Now that is Sanders, number 50, out of the University of Cincinnati. A little slow in getting up, but he's all right. That picked up only 1 yard, so it's a 3rd and 15. David Sims out of Georgia Tech. Excellent receiver. And averaging 4.5 per carry on the ground.
Kansas City, they have 5 defensive backs in there now with Emmett Thomas, number 18.
Here's the 3rd and 15 for Jim Zorn. And goes the middle. Intended pass for Rabel. Big rush by Art Still. But the Seattle drive has been stopped. 7.5 remaining in the first half. Seahawks leading at 10-0 on a 40-yard field goal by Efren Herrera and a 10-yard run and a beauty by David Sims for his 11th touchdown of the season. That leads the National Football League. Here's old Thunderfoot Herman Weaver. Back at his 37th, getting set to kick away to Eddie Payton. Penalty markers down as Weaver gets it up high but short. Payton to the 25, and down he goes at the 26-yard line. But there are flags on the play.
Number 24, the left cornerback, Gary Green, that time got offside. He tried to get back, and he just couldn't make it in time. But that still won't give him enough for a first down. It'll still be 4th down and 9 or 10 if they take it.
John Richie.
Well, they're talking it over. Kansas City by committee with the referee, Chuck Everly.
And the way Eddie Payton, Marv, returns
Onside. Defense. 4th down.
I wouldn't kick that ball and hang it up in the air to him. I'd try to kick the ball out of bounds to the left-hand side.
It looked like Weaver tried to angle it, but it ended up straight away. There's Payton back at his 10-yard line. And that time he was able to angle it over his head. And it is down by the Seahawks. Dave Brown able to down it at the 4-yard line. Excellent play. And there's a timeout called. 7:10 remaining. First half.
The explosive New England Patriots take on the revitalized Baltimore Colts as part of an exciting NFL doubleheader next Sunday on NBC. Check local listings for the games in your area.
Now, the reason the ball's brought back to the 4, watch where Dave Brown grabs it, right there at the 4. If he goes into the end zone, which he doesn't do here, the ball is called a touchback. It comes out to the 20. But he stayed along the goal line. The ball goes back to the 4 where he first touched it. Heads up football.
And the Chiefs now head in first down at their 4-yard line. They have double tight end offense in there right now as Morgado tries the left side. 7 minutes left in this first half. Kansas City with the ball trailing Seattle 10-0. Bill Gregory, number 77, in on the tackle. Price, Boyd, Sandifer, and Gregory up front. Well, the Colts now lead the Browns 10-7 in the second quarter. And Tampa Bay doing it to your former ball club, Paul. 17-0. Oh, this time Tony Reed with Dennis Boyd, number 68, the left defensive tackle, making the stop on this man, number 32, Tony Reed. Right here, let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
You're watching the Seahawks on KING-TV, Seattle.
Marv Albert with Paul McGuire from Arrowhead in Kansas City. Seattle Seahawks leading the Kansas City Chiefs 10-0. 6 minutes left first half. Kansas City with the ball 3rd and 5 at their 9. On the sweep it is McKnight. Turning the corner and hit hard. The free safety John Harris came over. So Ted McKnight, a second-year man out of Minnesota Duluth, making the turn and picking up the first down.
They tried 2 plays up the middle that didn't work, and now watch McKnight. Morgado gets a good block out front right there on Brown, and McKnight picks up the first down. That's just good hard running, getting to the outside. Everything was bottled up in the middle. Beeson, number 58, Terry Beeson, Seattle is doing a heck of a job in the middle of that line.
Second back coming through. Reed try to spin, but picks up just a couple. Middle linebacker Terry Beeson making the tackle. Green, Beeson, and Butler are the linebackers. Webster and Brown at the corners, and Beeman and Harris are the deep men.
Well, Keith Butler, 53, is a rookie. Beeson, the middle linebacker, he has just done a whale of a job in there. He is really hitting people.
Beeson, a second-round pick last year, part of that Tony Dorsett trade, which turned out to be just lovely for the Seahawks, and they were severely criticized at the time, but they got quite a bit out of it. All right, Morgado off the 2nd and 7.
Steve Niehaus.
So it will be a 3rd and 7 now at the 20-yard line. A reminder, next Sunday, lots of football action here on NBC, preceded by NFL 78. Games include the Jets at Miami, San Diego playing at Kansas City, New England at Baltimore, Seattle, Oakland, Cincinnati, Houston. MacArthur Lane with a penalty marker thrown down. John Harris, the free safety, able to run him out, but the old man, 36-year-old MacArthur Lane.
Boy, I'll tell you, we've been seeing this all year long, Marv, that good runs being called back by holding penalties. It's just getting way out of hand.
Looked to be the left tackle, Matt Hergenhoff.
Holding, offense, number 60, 3rd down.
So it is Hergenhoff on the hold, and it's a 3rd and 16 back at the 10-yard line.
Well, don't be surprised now to see Seattle come with a blitz to the inside by number 57, Peter Cronin.
4 minutes left, first half. And here is Livingston with time. Look out. And just fires it up, but incomplete for Lane. He's lucky he had a receiver in sight.
Bill Gregory, number 77, has him in the end zone. Bill Gregory was still sitting on the ground going crazy. Watch what happens. Livingston has the time to throw the ball. Now watch number 77. There he is right there. But he misses him in the back. He comes back in and puts the heat on him again, but he sat there on the ground. He was really mad about it. Here is a bad pass by Livingston, clear across the field, about a 50-yard pass sideways.
And Andrew Sisha now will punt out of his end zone. Gets away a beauty. Rufus Crawford back at the 40, 50. And stopped at the 48-yard line. Horace Belton in on the tackle. So Andrew Sisha able to get it out to midfield. A timeout is called. 3:40 left first half. Seattle leads 10-0. This Thursday here on NBC, the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Lions have been coming on as of late. Denver, of course, embroiled in that battle for the AFC West with Oakland. Going into today's play, they're both 7 up, 4 down. It all gets underway here Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, NFL 78, starting at 12. That was a 53-yard punt, incidentally, by Ant Precision. And now Zorn is hauled down. Second sack of the day for Kansas City. This time's number 71, Dave Lindstrom, in on the sack. So Lindstrom, the first-year pro out of Boston University, getting to the quarterback, Jim Zorn.
Even though Kansas City uses a 4 defense, 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, they always send a linebacker in on a blitzing situation. One of the outside linebackers will go. Sometimes one of the 2 middle linebackers will go, but always one of the 4 will come in.
All right, Paul, a 2nd and 18 for Zorn. Much time, and he goes for Rabel. And Rabel, putting on a spurt, was tripped up downfield by that man. The rookie out of Kentucky, Art Still.
Well, Zorn sets this up beautifully. Watch him look out here to his left to Sims. Holds, and now at the last second, throws the screen pass out here to Rabel. And number 67, Art Still, if he doesn't dive and make the tackle here, Rabel might have scored. Boy, he sets up a play beautifully, doesn't he? I know it sounds like we just keep talking about Zorn all the time, but he does so many things so right.
So difficult to defense against him. You have no idea what he's going to do. And he throws off the run so well. That time Sims on the fumble, but able to recover it. The pitch on the run by Zorn, but it was low and away, and Sims could not come up with it. Thomas Howard in on the tackle.
We've seen everything. Here's the quarterback option down the line of scrimmage. He throws it out to Sims. He just doesn't handle the football. The ball was right there in his hand. This guy is, I don't think he's called the same play twice, has he?
Right here, the 2-minute warning as Seattle gets set to punt away. 10-0 Seattle.
It's Sears.
At halftime, all the scores and highlights, a complete rundown at halftime with NFL 78. Head coach Jack Patera of the Seattle Seahawks, his club in front by the score of 10-0. And here's Herman Weaver getting set to boot to this man, Eddie Payton, second-year pro out of Jackson State. Took the low snap. And Payton with the fair catch just inside the 20-yard line. So Kansas City will go to work right there. And they have been struggling.
There's old Herman Weaver trying to get a call by the official. Oh.
There's something you can relate to. How are you with pulling the swan dives as a punter, Paul?
I got away with it quite a bit. I came in and started doing it right at the beginning of the old American Football League in the 60s. So the officials didn't really get wise to me until after about 4 years.
Livingston, who has really struggled, this time completes to MacArthur Lane. It's an 8-yard pickup. Kansas City quickly to the line with 1:40 remaining in this first half. 2nd and 2, and Livingston to throw again. This time the swing for Reed, and Tony Reed's got the first down. Niehaus in on the tackle, and now a timeout is called by Kansas City.
That was a screen pass out here to Reed. I'll tell you, once Reed got beyond the line of scrimmage, Niehaus grabbed him and almost ripped his shoulder pads off.
1:25 remaining in this first half. Lots of excitement coming up here on NBC Sports. Take a look.
NBC, yes, NBC Sports.
You got to say that our director, John Gonzalez, is really doing a super job with these camera people. We're getting some terrific pictures.
All right, 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. Kansas City trailing by the score of 10-0. With time running down here in the first half, Livingston again able to complete. And once again, we'll have to see where the forward progress was stopped. The tight end, Walter White, on the reception. They are marking it. No, they're going to call for the, they want to measure.
All right, now Livingston, if they're going to take a measurement here, Livingston should get his people back in the huddle and get your play called. You've got plenty of time. But what happens is that they know that they only have, what, one more timeout, 2 timeouts left? They call a series, when they work on this during the practice, Marv, they call a series of 3 or 4 plays so they can just keep moving right along, and they'll use them in a series and the players know where to go. Or it can be called right at the line of scrimmage. Whatever he calls, that's the play. And it goes on a designated number.
And Livingston has been moving this club in these final 2 minutes. He picked up the first down. Now Lane on the handoff, tripped up, able to break a tackle and then pick up 2 yards on the play with Gregory and Beeson in on the stop. And now we have 59 seconds remaining, and a timeout has been called once again by Kansas City. This has been an inconsistent year, which might be putting it diplomatically in terms of quarterback Mike Livingston, although in all fairness, this is a run-oriented ball club which does not call for the participation of the quarterback as frequently, I'm sure, as the quarterback would like. And as a result, it is only recently that Marv Levy has gone more to the passing game, and Livingston has thrown only 1 touchdown all season. He's completed 55% of his passes, intercepted 8 times. He has been in and out of the lineup. Tony Adams came on for a spell as Livingston was benched for a couple of games, and it's been a rough season.
And we talked at the beginning about this wing team, Marvin, and it just seems that every time that they get down, this football team, Kansas City, they go right back to the basic pro set in order to get back into the football game. So why use the wing tee that gets you in so much trouble in the first place?
Now 2nd and 8 for Livingston as we resume. Oh, what a spectacular catch by Henry Marshall. Lots of stickum on the head of Henry Marshall on that one.
I guess they want to come out of here with at least a field goal.
Clock running, 40 seconds to go. Henry Marshall with a tremendous catch. Here's Livingston again. He's hot now, and he completes to MacArthur Lane. Clock continues to run. 30 seconds remaining in this first half. Chiefs trailing by the score of 10-0. They have used up all their timeouts. And Livingston, looking to stop the clock, does just that. The intended receiver, number 80, Larry Dorsey, covered by Cornell Webster.
Pass intended for Dorsey.
This pass was really a high pass. Livingston he's got a good arm, but watch, you talk about stick him, you hit it right on the head, Marv. Watch this. Just a perfect catch. Brown was waiting for him to drop the ball. They've got to save their timeout to try to get Jan Stenerud on for the field goal because they only have 19 seconds and 1 timeout left.
They have a 3rd and 4 at the 27-yard line. And Livingston again to throw. This time goes to Dorsey. Got him inside the 5. 10 seconds to go. They better hurry. Well, apparently there was 1 timeout remaining. Scoreboard was incorrect. 1 timeout remaining, and watch Livingston right here hit Dorsey.
Oh, he hits Dorsey, and Dorsey's wide open down the middle. They're playing a zone defense, and really nobody covered him. All he did was get into the seam. Beeman was there, Harris was there, but Dorsey just went straight down the field and hung right there in the seam. Livingston put the ball right on the money. If they would have let this guy throw the football all year long, they only lost, games by 3 points, 6 points, and they get in trouble with this wing tee offense of theirs, and then they go to the end of the game back to the standard pro set with Livingston to try to pull it out, and most of the times he gets them within striking range. He did it against Pittsburgh.
And the man who made that last catch, Larry Dorsey, off the pass from Livingston, has been invisible right throughout the year. That was only his 6th reception, and we're talking about a starting wide receiver. Of course, the starting wide receiver who has been shuffled.
Right, they use the 3 running backs. What you're going to see here, I think, what they have to call is some type of a rollout. Get Livingston moving to the sidelines. If it's open, fine, throw the ball. If it's not open, just throw it overhead and throw it out of bounds.
11 seconds remaining, first half, and Livingston has it deflected away, goes incomplete. Good coverage. That ball was tipped away. Ernie Price, the left defensive end, got a piece of it. We now have 7 seconds, and it is a 2nd and goal for Kansas City.
Seattle, I don't know why the people are booing. You've got to take 3 points and come away with here with 3 points right now. You have no more timeouts, so they couldn't run a run play. Take the 3 points. You're only 7 down. A touchdown will tie and get you back in the football game.
Well, Mike Livingston was upset. He tried to wave off Jan Stenerud.
Well, he figures he might be able to throw one more pass, you know, a quick pass.
All right, this is a 20-yard field goal for Stenerud. So the Chiefs do get on the board now with 4 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, maybe the second half we're going to see some wide open football by the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to have to, Marv.
The Chiefs are now trailing by the score of 10-3.
Did you see our producer, Roy Hammerman, on the horse?
Roy, very versatile.
He's the guy does an awful lot. You know, he does a super game. You can see the pictures, everything that's going on, and then all of a sudden, every time Kansas City scores, he shoots out of the truck, jumps on that horse, rides around and gets back to the truck and gives you this. That's beautiful.
Paul, you are very sick. We have 4 seconds remaining in the first half, and Kansas City now trailing by the score of 10-3. And Zenon Andrushishin will kick it off. Kansas City making the switch from Stenerud to Andrushishin on the kickoffs because Andrushishin gets more height than Stenerud. Not that time. Followed around by Testament and finally wrestled down as Ed Beckman covered up on Doug Long. But this first half has come to a conclusion. So at halftime, the Seattle Seahawks lead it 10-3. That's the end of the first half. Again, the score, Seattle 10 and Kansas City 3. Seattle leading by the score of 10-3 at halftime here at Arrowhead in Kansas City. And now for an update on the National Football League. For scores and highlights, let's go to Bryant Gumbel, NFL 78 in New York.
Moments ago at Shea Stadium with the score tied at 10, the Patriots run this sweep. 58, Pete Brock out in front. 23, Horace Ivory with the ball. Cuts in, then back out. The Patriots on an 11-yard touchdown by Ivory go up 16-10 at Shea over the Jets. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to NFL 78. I'm Bryant Gumbel. Mike Adamle is in our highlights center. We're going to get you caught up on all the action of week number 12, including highlights. But first, let's go live to Shea Stadium. Join Charlie Jones and Len Dawson.
Oh, he's winding up, bringing that ball way down around his knee, which is not a good thing to do. But you can see that there's no way that you can throw over these big defensive linemen. I mean, they're just too tall.
This is Charlie Jones, Len Dawson, Shea Stadium. New England leading the Jets 16-10. Jets has the football. Matt Robinson is replacing injured Richard Todd. Pass is complete. Jerome Barkham. Steve King was there for the defense. Barkham goes out at about the 42-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and a yard.
Boy, that was a perfect throw because great coverage by 52 Steve King. The ball was right on the money, right next to the sidelines where Barkham could make the catch and stay in bounds. The first pass was not a very good one, but this one was excellent. You can see the good coverage there. Look at that. Great moves by Barkham, keeping both feet in bounds.
Both tight ends are in. Clark Gaines is in. Short yardage. 3rd down 1. Kevin Long. 1st down Jets. 44-yard line. Minutes left to go in the ball game. New England leading 16-10.
And don't forget about that blocked extra point.
Looming larger and larger. brings up two factors. One, a touchdown at extra point gives you the lead. Number two, don't overlook 2 field goals.
Well, the Jets have to get something going. That's the big first down for Matt Robinson. He needed that.
Here's the double wing, both tight ends. Play action.
Way up top. Way up top. Way up top.
Just tie it up. Robinson to Wesley Walker. Beating Claiborne and Hayes. 56 yards. And Wesley Walker was captured.
I said earlier you can contain this guy for a while, but he has the ability to break the big one. And here he is. Here comes speed. Mike Hayes has got great speed. Wesley Walker has more. Great throw, great catch. The ball game is tied. The extra point coming up, and we said, remember the blocked extra point.
Well, here's the applause for our timing. And then if the Jets do make that extra point, they'll take the lead 17-16. We might note that, as you noted, Robinson was in there quarterbacking because Richard Todd re-injured his right shoulder. Okay, 2 teams with winning streaks on the line are playing in Minnesota. The Chargers have won 3 in a row, the Vikings 4 in a row. It's 13-7 in the 4th period. Let's check in with Mike Adamle and get some highlights in this game. Been a good ball game, Mike.
Very good. You know, during the offseason, Bryant, there was a very big trade. The Minnesota Vikings trade away All-Pro guard Ed White. He has done a super job for San Diego, opening up big holes in the Viking defensive line. But Tarkington was his usual masterful self in the first quarter. Here he hits Ricky Young for touchdown number 1 to make it 7-0 for the Vikings. But San Diego behind a long, good running attack, and Hank Bauer here scores to make it 7-7. Dan Fouts trips on this play in the second half, but finds John Jefferson. Boy, they taught him well at Arizona State. They missed the extra point. It's 13-7. That missed extra point will be a factor as this game wears on. Once again, a great job by Ed White, the All-Pro offensive guard for the San Diego Chargers, once of the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, Mike. The Cardinals jumped out to a 24-0 lead today, but they've since come back to the pack. They are still out in front of the Redskins, though, 27-17. Theismann has thrown for 2 scores, and Hart has matched that performance. The Jets did, in fact, kick the extra point, so they are now out in front of the Patriots, 17-16, thanks to that 56-yard strike to Wesley Walker that we saw. Very quickly now, the Giants in the 4th period out in front of the Eagles by a score of 17-6. Tampa Bay leading Buffalo. This one is in the 4th period, 17-3. Ricky Bell has injured his knee in that ball game. New Orleans, Dallas, it's 14-7 Dallas at the half. Seattle, Kansas City, 10-3 at the half. Seattle, Cleveland leading Baltimore by 4, and Atlanta over Chicago. We've still got a second half of football to come, but first...
Back at Arrowhead here at Kansas City, Missouri, we are at halftime. Marv Albert with Paul McGuire on a very cool and crisp day, which I know you would agree. Paul has the little V-neck sweater on.
Oh, with a sweater this week. Yeah.
Away losing your macho
warm.
image, Paul. This is at halftime.
Never had it.
Seattle leading Kansas City by the score of 10-3. Running down the scoring, a 40-yard field goal by Herrera. In the first quarter, Sims with his 11th touchdown of the year. A 10-yard run gave Seattle a 10-0 lead, and then off that good drive by Mike Livingston, Kansas City able to get on the board on the field goal by Stenerud from 20 yards out. 4 seconds left in the half, and that's the way we stand. And Livingston is 11 for 17 for 103 yards.
Marv, we talked about in the beginning, if Kansas City can stay in this football game, they have to throw the football. They have to go back to your basic pro football, playing with 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and the 2 backs, and get away from that wing T. The only thing I can say about it, it stinks. You know, you sit there and you get yourself in trouble, and we've seen Kansas City do it week after week after week. They stay in a game to keep a game close with it, but they don't win any. 2-9 coming in. Now you've got to, you got to play basic football, and this is something that Kansas City hasn't done.
Now Zorn is 7 for 11, 79 yards. As you look at Zenon Andrusishin getting set to kick off to the Seahawks of Seattle. This is Al Hunter. Beautiful run back by Hunter. Out to the 38-yard line. Ted Bergmeyer, backup safety man, making the stop as you look at the halftime statistics.
Well, the halftime stats are all in the favor of the Chiefs, except they're losing the ball game 10-3. And I just have the feeling when Kansas City gets the football that they're going to go back to wide open football again. They have to, because of the last drive, as you mentioned, by Livingston.
Now there is an injured player, an injured Kansas City Chief. being intended to right now. Sherman Smith, David Sims, the running backs. Jim Zorn, the quarterback, as the Seahawks get set to go on offense. That is Tim Collier, the right quarterback, the 3-year man out of East Texas State, who was shaken up on that last play. Setting the offensive line, Nick Bebout, Tom Lynch, John Yarno, Bob Newton, Steve August. Emmett Thomas has come out replacing Collier. Also received a report that Keith Simpson, with bruised ribs, will probably not play at all today for the Seattle Seahawks, and hope to get a further report on Collier. Obviously, that did not look too hopeful. First down at the 38-yard line for the Seahawks. Penalty marker down as you saw people jumping at both ends, and Zorn had to cover up.
We're back doing the same thing again when they started the game. Don Parrish, number 61, is offside. He's the nose guard, and I can't understand how this can happen. You see him right over the center. You got to be able to see the ball being snapped. It was a good snap, just Zorn didn't hold the ball, and they've got a break out of it.
Defense, number 61, first down.
Makes for a 1st and 5 at the 43-yard line. There is the nose tackle, the middle guard, Don Parrish.
This time he may be late.
He was originally a draft pick of Atlanta. Last year was injured reserve throughout the season. Has actually played very well for Kansas City and taking over the starting job. Acceleration by Sims. Art Still stacking him up with help from his friends, and some words between the Chiefs and Seahawks.
Well, there's that young defensive line, all rookies, Stills, Parrish, and Hicks. Good football players. Whitney Paul, Clarence Sanders, Dave Rozumek, and Thomas Howard. Like we talked about before, Sanders has taken the place of Gary Spaney, who was out today, number 59. And a defensive backfield, Green, Gray, Barbaro, and Collier.
Off the 2nd and 1. Sims is stopped back behind the line by Thomas Howard. Word on Collier, left knee injury. You saw him helped off moments ago, replaced at right cornerback by Emmett Thomas. They will measure. It appeared that Sims was stopped. Just shy of a 1st down. Sims trying to lunge forward, could not pick it up. Opening minutes of play, 3rd quarter here in Kansas City. Seahawks leading it by the score of 10-3. Seattle comes on 5 up, 6 down. There's Coach Marv Levy of Kansas City. His club at 2-9. New England in front of the Jets now, 19-17. Patriots at 8-3. Jets 6-5. Patriots tied with Miami for the AFC Eastern League. Close game today. Jets were bombed out in the last meeting, 55-21. This time Sims has got the 1st down out at midfield. And Parrish makes the stop. It is a 1st down for Seattle.
Well, this is what Zorn did at the beginning of the game. Marvy went out, ran the football, and only passed when he had to. And it started to get him in a little bit of trouble. Now maybe we'll see him throw the football a little bit.
To this point, it has been a quiet day for Jim Zorn. He's provided some excitement, but he has had some explosive afternoon. Excuse me. Thomas Howard making the stop on Sherman Smith.
All right, we're looking at Lynch, number 61, the guard. And when we talked about the weak side guard, you see what happens. He is in the play. He takes you to the ball. When you key that guy, except for the 2 gadgets I talked about, he is weak side this time too, and you'll see that he will take you to the play.
2nd and 4 at the 46-yard line. Here is Sims trying the left side. and gets across the 45. Sanders and Rozenek in on the stop.
All right, now watch the left guard, Lynch. He's the weak side guard this time, and he takes you where the play is supposed to be. Sims breaks it to the outside, following the blockers. And there's number 61, Lynch. If you follow the weak side guard, 99% of the afternoon, he'll take you to the ball. When he sets up, you'll see it's a pass play or a draw.
Sims picked up 2 on the play, and it's a 3rd and 2 at the Kansas City 43-yard line. Now Sherman Smith breaking free, down to the 20, down to the 10, and a 1st and goal for Seattle as Tim Gray, the strong safety, was able to trip him up.
Look at Sherman. This is beautiful. Watch Barbaro, number 26. Goodbye. That is embarrassing. He just puts a good move, and he's right down the middle, heading for the goal line. Gray saves a touchdown.
Yeah, that helps the rushing statistics of Sherman Smith. He had missed 4 weeks with a shoulder separation. 3-year man out of Miami of Ohio. Sims in motion. Again it's Smith. And Merrill's inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, your line now.
Our producer, Roy Hammerman, wanted me to say Sherman's running like a tank.
You'd never say that.
I wouldn't do that.
That run by Smith covering 36 yards. To set up this situation, it is now a 2nd and goal at the 4-yard line. We are 4 minutes in, 3rd quarter. Seahawks lead the Chiefs 10-3. Coach Marv Levy of Kansas City, not a happy man right now. And Zorn pulling away, but an immediate whistle, a flag thrown. Sylvester Hicks appears to be the guilty party. Steve Rabel has come on, replacing Steve Largent. As you look at number 75, they call him Dirty, Sylvester Hicks. They move it halfway. It is a 3rd and goal at the 1. And Sherman Smith getting in close, but Hicks able to stop him.
4th down. All right, Coach, what do you do? Would you go for it? Would you go for it? I know they're not.
Paul, I was looking for Herrera to come on, and here he is.
Yeah, that's why I asked you, would you go for it?
No, I'd send Herrera in.
That's right. It's a good call. It really is. You take the 3 points and put you up by 10. Now they have to score twice in order to tie you.
And an 18-yard field goal by Efren Herrera to give Seattle a 13-3 lead. 9:08 left. 3rd quarter. Back Kansas City after these minutes. Paul, notice when they set up the shot, everybody leans forward.
Who's
the camera?
Who's the guy in a funny hat with us? You can't see anything. He's the guy that rides a horse.
Our stage
from
manager,
here home.
Wendy Davis. The kickoff from Herrera. And this is Peyton. Back is the man in the middle. Horace Belton. Man on the right wing. On the return. And
out here.
Acceleration. Out to midfield. Steve Rabel making the tackle. Horace Belton, number 35, on the return.
I don't know whether they're purposely kicking the ball away from Peyton or not, but obviously it's a mistake. Horace Belton right here goes right up the sideline. The blocking is there. One more block and he's gone. Rabel saves a touchdown. And a good tackle. Put that man on defense.
1st down at midfield. Reed, the man in motion. Beautiful tackle by John Harris, the free safety coming up, as Reed did not even get an opportunity to make the turn at the far side. Kansas City out of the wing tee with Tony Reed, Arnie Margano, Ted McKnight, as the running backs, the wide receiver Henry Marshall, Walter White the tight end, Bergenhoff, Simmons, Rudnay, Condon, and Getty.
Now they're back to the basic formation again.
2nd and 12 for Mike Livingston. Now in the regular pro set, as you say, the basic formation, but the fumble on the snap. And fortunately for the Chiefs, Livingston able to cover up. But this is a drive that is going backward.
I have the feeling that time they just had their signals crossed. There's a defensive line, and they've been doing a pretty good job today. Price, Boyd, Sandiford, and Gregory. And the strong linebackers, Green, Beeson, and Butler, who's having a super game. Beeson is hitting people all over the place. The defensive secondary, Webster, Brown, Beeman, and Harris.
Again out of the pro set, 3rd and 13. And Livingston, who is 11 for 17, goes sideline but throws it away. Dorsey, number 80, was out there but well covered.
Well, we're not the only ones that are booing him. The fans here are. And I think the worst part about that play was Dorsey was downfield, Marv, but he was at least 7 yards from the first down marker. So even if he would have caught the ball, it wouldn't have done him any good.
This is Andrew Sisson getting set to punt to Rufus Crawford. Crawford, a rookie out of Virginia State, averaging 7 yards per punt return. Let's see where they will spot that football with 7:25 remaining in this 3rd quarter. When we resume, Seattle will take over at the... And this Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, here on NBC, it'll be Denver and Detroit. NFL 70 at 12, and among the scheduled features, close-up with the question asked, what has happened to Denver? Broncos are not on top anymore. A tackle as he gets up to the 27-yard line. After all that running, it's a short pickup, 2 of 3 on the play. Thomas Howard and Sylvester Hicks combining on Sims.
You know, he sets this ball up so well. Watch Zorn. He goes and he looks to his left and comes back and throws to his right. Here's the screen. He just didn't get the blockers out front. Hart still really saves a long gain by slowing down Sims.
3-yard advance. It is a 2nd and 7. Running backs are Sims and Smith. And Zorn pops it over the middle for Sims. Out to the 32-yard line. Clarence Sanders meets him there. 5-yard pickup. Well, Dallas, after trailing early, taking a 21-7 lead, Roger Staubach has hit Billy Joe Dupree, 24-yard touchdown pass play in the 3rd quarter. Chicago leading Atlanta now by the score of 10-7. Falcons have won 5 in a row, and the Bears have lost 8 in a row going into today. 3rd and 2. 6 minutes left, 3rd quarter. Marv Albert and Paul McGuire from Kansas City. Seahawks lead it 13-3, and Zorn, dissatisfied with something, calls for time. So they want to talk it over, and Zorn over to Jack Patera on the sideline. A timeout on the field. Just under 6 left now, 3rd quarter. And back at Arrowhead on a very cool and crisp day. To be
the one girl just quit. And there's that old producer again.
Crazy George, not bothered by the elements, though. In fact, not bothered by anything. Man is spaced out. Don Testament stopped as he looked to pick up the 1st down, and a name we have been mentioning right throughout the afternoon, Sylvester Hicks, stopping Testament. So the Seahawks have been stopped, and they are forced to punt. So Herman Weaver checks in.
Well, maybe this will inspire Kansas City a little bit because, number one, even though the Seahawks went down on that long drive, they only gave them 3 points. They held them here. The defense is putting it together a little bit. Now all they have to do is get the offense working. They're going to be all right.
Eddie Payton awaiting this Herman Weaver boot.
Bad kick.
He wasn't sure what to do with it. Clarence Sanders took it on a tricky hop.
So it bounced back in his face, and he didn't have anything else to do. He had to either take the ball or let it bounce off him. He did the smart thing. He grabbed it and started to run with it.
And off the poor punt, Kansas City will go to work at their 46-yard line. Quarterback Mike Livingston. MacArthur Lane has come back. As Jack Rudnay leads the club to the line, Larry Dorsey out to the right side, Henry Marshall to the left. Again, the regular pro set, and it's Tony Reed who has not been able to get going here. Tony Reed coming in, averaging just under 5 per ball game. A special edition of NBC Sports World is coming up Saturday, December the 2nd. A 15-round WBC Light Heavyweight Championship from Italy featuring Parlov and Johnson. Matt Parlov, the 30-year-old WBC Light Heavyweight Champion out of Yugoslavia. Marvin Johnson, a 24-year-old powerful puncher with a strong attack, particularly tough in the early rounds. That's Sports World here on NBC on December the 2nd.
Well, they're booing Livingston here because he's throwing the short passes to the backs coming out of the backfield. Tony Reed, number 32 the time, and he just overthrew him. He's got some good receivers. He's got an excellent tight end, Walter White, and you should be throwing the ball to him.
It is a 3rd and 7 at the 49-yard line. And yes, Paul, Marv Levy suddenly back to that pro set. And Livingston changed his mind. He started to go long. And then he changed his mind. That ball wasn't deflected.
No, what he did is he faked the pass, I believe, and he saw Walter White breaking down the middle of the field, covered one-on-one, and he wanted to hold the pass back and couldn't. Now let's take a look at it. I believe this is what happened, unless it was one of the worst passes I've ever seen. He's faking it. No, he did throw the ball, and it just flipped off his hand. Nobody touched it.
Well, he kind of let up.
He wanted to hold it back because White was just about to beat the safety man.
If that had been intercepted, that would have been long gone. Beautiful punt this time by Ambrosisha. Fielded by Crawford. First thought it would go into the end zone, and that tossed. It took a Kansas City hop, and Crawford changed his mind. He thought it was sailing by him. Ted Bergmeyer drilling him down. And gorgeous punt by Ambrosisha to hem Seattle in. A tie.
Asking for.
We're going to see Rufus Crawford now. He sees the ball. It hits on about the 5-yard line, and he knows it's coming back towards him. I think it's a heads-up play. They tell you not to field the ball inside the 10, but he just felt that if they're going to take the ball and drop it on about the 1-yard line, at least to give him a little bit of running room, and he's out to the 6.
Another friend of Paul McGuire's right there. On the right, that is.
Old sleeper play.
First down at the 6-yard line. And Zorn throwing from his end zone. Deflected away, intended for Sims. Howard got a piece of it. The linebacker on the right side, Thomas Howard, deflecting it away. It'll be a 2nd down. Back at the Seattle 6-yard line. Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
You're watching the Seahawks on KING TV, Seattle.
Marv Albert and Paul McGuire from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Seahawks in possession lead the Chiefs 13-3. 2nd and 10, back at the 6-yard line, and Sims, the ball carrier, out to the 10. A 4-yard pickup, and it'll be a 3rd and 6. Barbaro making the stop on number 35, the second-year man out of Georgia Tech, David Sims. Final score, San Diego beating Minnesota. Chargers have now won 4 in a row. Viking win streak stopped at 4, and New England just getting by the New York Jets 19-17. Field goal in the fourth quarter with 2.5 minutes remaining, winning it for the Patriots. 23-yard field goal. Incidentally, Matt Robinson came on, replacing Richard Todd, who had returned to action today, but Todd bruised his shoulder and was forced out. And I'm told Dan Fouts was injured in that San Diego, Minnesota game.
It's been a long, long season again, and it's just like it has been in the past. They go back and start losing quarterbacks.
Next Sunday, big twin bill here on NBC. Jets in Miami, playing down at the Orange Bowl. San Diego at Kansas City, part of the lineup, along with New England at Baltimore. Seattle playing at Oakland next Sunday, and Cincinnati at Houston. All right here on NBC, preceded by NFL 78. And they will feature something you'd be interested in, Paul. Title of it is, Who Are Those Guys? People ask, but never know about the men in the striped shirts. Who are they? Where do they come from? Many have asked that throughout the season, and what are their opinions of the rules changes and of the criticism that has been directed at the officials. A profile on the NFL's Zebras next Sunday here on NFL 78. Here's another final as Buffalo was clobbered by Tampa Bay, 31-10 at Tampa Bay. Buccaneers now 5-7. Third down 6, 3.5 left, third quarter. Off the play action, Zorn with time. Got launching to the 35. Out to the 40-yard line, just shy of the 40. And a first down for Seattle. Barbaro making the stop on Largent, a 29-yard pass play.
Play action pass, and Zorn rolls out to his right, and watch Largent come back again. You know that these guys work on this. Back to the ball, and then picks up another 10 yards. That's just good football.
Fourth reception of the day for Largent. He now has 50 on the season. And hold everything once again. Sylvester Hicks making the stop on Testament.
Final score, Tampa Bay 31, Buffalo 3.
Marv Albert and Paul McGuire from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Seattle Seahawks lead the Kansas City Chiefs 13-3, second and 7. Now for Seattle at the 41-yard line. And this is Sherman Smith pulling his way to the 43. 2:10 remaining in this third quarter. And Paul, for those folks who have just joined us along the network, the story of the game today has to be the disappointment once again of the 2-9 Chiefs wing T formation.
Well, this wing T has gotten them into an awful lot of trouble. Marv, what happens is that they run it on first down, end up losing 3 or 4 yards with it, and then they have to go back to the basic pro set, which they're really not used to, and Livingston has to throw the ball to receivers who haven't been really in the pattern all year long, and that's that man's offensive formation, the wing T.
33 for Zorn, off the play action. And it goes incomplete, intended for the tight end, number 81, John Sawyer. Steve Largent has had another outstanding day, coming in second in receiving in the AFC. Just reeled off a 29-yard pickup moments ago, but right here, Seattle is forced to punt. Marv Albert with Paul McGuire in Kansas City. Now we return you to NFL 78. Herman Weaver checking in, and he will punt from his 30-yard line. This is Eddie Payton back at his 15.
They're coming after him.
It is a 10-man rush. And Payton able to cover up. He just plain lost that one.
He did. He started to run without the football. And everybody gives you a little, he just starts to run. He lost the ball, went right through his arms. He couldn't find it. Did the smart thing, he dove on it. That's when all the players come up and said, that's okay. It's not okay.
Keith Butler. And on the stop Oh, it will be a first down.
They also had a penalty on the play.
Penalty on. They move it back.
Number 35, during the kick. First down.
They move it back to the 14-yard line.
They had a holding penalty on number 35, Horace Belton.
First down back at the 14-yard line for Kansas City. A minute and 24 remaining of this third quarter. To the left side and Marshall to the right. Again out of the regular pro set. And this is Mark Bailey on his first play from scrimmage this afternoon. Autry Beeman, the strong safety, making the stop. So Bailey has come out at fullback. He is a second-year pro out of Cal State and Long Beach. So 6'3", 237 pounds. Picked up 4. It is a 2nd and 6 now at the 18-yard line.
This has been a pretty good defensive football game for both teams, and that's what's really kept Kansas City in the game.
Bailey and Reed are the running backs. Again, Bailey gets the call. Ernie Price, number 62, the left defensive end, making the stop. Price, Boyd, Sandifer, and Gregory up front. Green, Beeson, and Butler, the linebackers. Webster and Brown at the corners, and Beeman and Harris are the deep men. It is a 3rd and 1 at the 23-yard line. 5-yard pickup now by Mark Bailey, who just checked in. And once again, it is Bailey. With time running down here in this third quarter.
I don't really agree with that selection of plays either.
Well, Bailey falling short. And here is Andrusician, who just does have enough room on the back of his jersey. That's a tough one. You know, some clubs, well, they're going to measure. Some clubs in professional sports, when a guy has a particularly long name, they will try to break it down. You see that in the box score. But Zenon gets... well, if he just does get it on the jersey.
If they put his whole name on, all the way, you'd have to go all the way around to the front.
Zenon is out there ready to punt, but they are measuring. And it is confirmed that Kansas City did not pick up the first down.
Zenon told me something before the game, Marv, about the wind in here. If you're kicking out of the end zone, anywhere like from the 20-yard line where he is now out, the wind is at your back on both ends. Once you get to the middle of the field, then the wind changes and goes, swirls around.
Time running out in the third quarter, so they will move downfield, and Andrusician will now punt. Folks, get a pencil and paper handy. We're going to give you that address once again, just a moment. And Marv Levy has changed his mind as we open up this fourth quarter, Paul. They're going to go for it, 4th and 1 at their own 23-yard line. That's McKnight in motion, and Morgado, from our angle, looked to pick it up.
He got the first down.
He did pick it up. Butler, the right linebacker, making the stop. Well, here's that address once again to send your tax-deductible contribution to help our American Olympic athletes. U.S. Olympics, Post Office Box 1980T, Cathedral Station, Boston, Massachusetts. Morgado collecting the first down at the 25-yard line. Number 22, McKnight on the sweep, pushed out by John Harris, number 44, the free safety. But McKnight reaches out to the 38-yard line.
All right, he gets out in front. Morgado's out there. He gets a good block, turns the corner man to the outside, and McKnight throws an elbow. You got to question that a little bit, don't you? He had John Harris in the chops of that thing.
13-yard run and a first down at the 38. Double tight end, Walter White and Tony Samuels in there now. And this is Morgado for a yard, no more.
Let's go back and talk about that 4th and 1, and they went for it. Two schools of thought. One, you're 2-9 right now. You're not going anywhere. You got the fans booing you, so you might as well do something spectacular. If they pick up the first down and move the ball like they're doing now, the fans are back with you again. They're going to stay for a while. But if you would have lost it, turned the ball over to Seattle, being down by 10 points, they put another touchdown on the board. The game is over with.
On the subject of the fans, a poor crowd here. 35,252. Play action for Livingston, and it is nearly intercepted. A battle between Cornell Webster and Henry Marshall, and broken up by Webster.
Cornell Webster, Marv, played this ball so well. If this ball was just a half second later, he'd have had a touchdown. Watch what he does here on Marshall. Lets him make his break. And there's Webster right there. Just perfect timing. Good defensive football.
3rd down and 8 for Kansas City.
And a team that runs the ball, basically runs the football. It's very difficult to get your timing with your receivers.
Dorsey is left and Marshall right. And Livingston to throw again. This time deep. Oh, another spectacular catch by Marshall for a first down. Across the 40-yard line, a 21-yard pass play with Beeman and Webster combining on the stop. You may recall earlier, Marshall came up with that one-handed grab.
We got a man injured down there, and I think it... For Seattle, I'm not sure who it is.
Well, we'll have to get the glasses on and pick it up.
That's Keith Simpson again. I thought he wasn't supposed to be back in the game.
Rookie out of Memphis State, who was in as the extra defensive back. Well, shaken up and all right.
We have seen 2 excellent catches by Henry Marshall today. The pass protection held up very well that time for Livingston. He just waited for Marshall to clear the middle, and he was open.
Henry wearing number 89 and looking to continue in the tradition of another KC Chief who wore number 89, a fellow by the name of Otis Taylor. First down at the 40-yard line as Reed, with running room, gets to the 30. A 10-yard pickup for a first down.
Well, this is really their bread and butter man, Tony Reed, number 32. He gets some excellent blocks. Number 38, Cornell Webster, turned the play in, but there was no help from the backside. Reed picks up 9 yards.
Tony Reed has accounted for 33% of the Chiefs' total offense. Leading rusher, 673 yards. Leads in receptions, coming in with 38. That time a hard pop on Morgado. Terry Beeson, the middle linebacker.
Terry Beeson, I mentioned it early in the first half, is having a great game. Watch this shot on Morgado right here. And I'll tell you, when you got a running back going full blast up the middle and he doesn't move, and he ends up going the opposite way, you know you've been hit.
It is a first down at the 29-yard line. .45 left, 4th quarter. Again off the fake. Tight end Samuel. Inside the 5. Tony Samuel. In his second year out of the Brooklyn. Used primarily on special teams last year, has been seeing more and more action this season.
He just runs a play action pass. He's got excellent protection. Samuels gets wide open down the sideline. Walter White, number 88, was also open down the middle. They weren't playing very good defense. John Harris, the corner, the free safety, who has, or is supposed to cover Samuels, just didn't cover him.
A 24-yard pass play. First and goal at the 4-yard line. Chiefs trailing 13-3. This is Reed off the right side. He's down to the 1.
motion. He's got to run at it. This gives him that extra leverage, and you see what happens. He picks up 2 more yards after he was hit. They're down at the 1-yard line. Turn this game around a little bit. And our producers saddling up, get ready.
This has been a very low-key day for Reed. Held in check thus far. And Livingston surprising the Seahawks for a touchdown, hitting Ted McKnight. The Seahawks caught by surprise as Ted McKnight has scored his 5th touchdown of the season.
All right. This is an excellent pass play. Play action pass. You see McKnight, he's in motion. The quarterman now has to take him. There's nobody. You see the force now by Beeman, the safety. There's no quarterman to the outside. Brown was supposed to cover McKnight, did not do it. Touchdown. Good call, good play.
And Stenerud with the extra, with 10 minutes remaining 4th quarter, the Seahawk lead is cut to 13-10. We'll be back. 12 plays, 86 yards, 6 minutes and 15 seconds, and it concludes with that 1-yard flip to McKnight. 13-10. Seattle leading as Andrusician gets set to kick off to Al Hunter and Rufus Crawford. And this is Crawford out to the 15, to the 25. A galloping Rufus Crawford, hauled down by Eddie Payton.
Galloping Rufus.
Just painting the word picture, Paul. The Cardinals have made it 4 in a row as they have upset the Washington Redskins, 27-17. And the Eagles coming from behind to beat the Giants 19-17. So the Eagles now 7-5, and the Giants are 5-7. First out of the 29-yard line. This is Sherman Smith ripping off another pretty run out near the 40-yard line, a first down. Gary Barbaro, the free safety, making the stop. 11-yard pickup by Smith.
You know, it's amazing that Seattle comes back with the same, not the wing T offense, but the same type of motion and runs at Kansas City. Someone who should be used to it because they practice against it all week long. They put Testerman in motion, gave the ball to Smith, and he picks up a first down. That's just a good call.
That's the 10th first down picked up by the Seahawks. Zorn is 10 for 16 thus far, 118 yards. First down at the 40-yard line. Again, it's Smith. 3-yard advance by the 3-year pro out of Miami of Ohio, who's averaging just under 5 per game. Still and Lindstrom combined on number 47, Sherman Smith. It is a second and about 8. 8:42 left, 4th quarter. Lodgett peeling off. Zorn looking for Testerman, but overthrows him. Testerman coming out of the backfield, well covered by the right cornerback, Emmett Thomas. So Don Testerman, whose wife gave birth on Friday night, and our congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Testerman. Don in his 3rd year out of Clemson. He's had a wandering itinerary. Drafted by Miami, 1976, traded to Philly, picked up on waivers by Seattle. This after spending time at 4 different colleges also.
Well, he's used to moving.
Zorn got Lodgett at the first down marker. And a penalty marker thrown down. Largent with his 5th catch of the afternoon. He now has 51 on the season, and it looks to be a face mask on Kansas City.
Boy, and Testerman comes up and makes a great block on the left-hand side. Zorn has all day to throw the ball, finds Largent across the middle. He picks up the first down, and I think we might have face masks right there. And that is a good call. That's unintentional face mask.
Face mask. Defense. Number 59.
Trying to grab his lip.
Number 59, Gary Spaney, who has seen action here in the second half. Clarence Sanders started. Spaney suffering from a bruised shoulder. Called for the face mask. First down at the Kansas City 44-yard line. Seattle leading at 13-10. Largent not able to hold on this time. Running into some heavy coverage as Zorn fired one. Emmett Thomas among those surrounding Steve Largent. And it'll be a 2nd and 10 at the 44.
I tell you, you can't really sit back and say what Zorn's going to do, Mark, because you really don't know. Here's a man with a 3-point lead, 8.5 minutes to go, and he's firing a football.
Jack Patera, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and Jim Zorn, the man who runs this ball club, with 8:23 left, fourth quarter. On second down, lofts one downfield, but overthrows. Largent was wide open, trailed by the left cornerback Gary Green.
Marv, he was so far gone, all Zorn had to do was lay it out. They pick up the blitz beautifully. Watch this. You see Sanders coming in, number 50. Zorn's got all day. Largent turned Emmett Thomas completely around, and Green came over to try to help out. It was too late. All he had to do was just throw it up like in a basketball game in a jump ball. Largent was so far out in front. Largent goes back in a huddle and says, all right, let's try this one more time.
Green Bay Packers in front of the Denver Broncos on a Chester Marco field goal from 19 yards out. And the 1-up and 10 down Cincinnati Bengals on a Chris Barr field goal from 29 yards out, leading 3-0. Penalty marker thrown down. Zorn again looks for Largent, and he's got it! That was misplayed by Gary Green, the left quarterback. But a holding penalty appears to be on its way against Seattle.
You know, when you take a look at Largent making that catch, you're talking about total concentration by a receiver. This is why this man catches so many balls. He came into the game with 46 receptions. I think he's got 5 or 6 today. But watch what happens. Green has the interception, he thinks. But look at the concentration by Largent. Over his hand, holding, catches the ball, stays inbound.
Number 63.
All for 9.
3rd down.
Nick Bebout, the left tackle of Seattle, is called for the hold as you look at the penalty rundown. 5 on the Seahawks for 45 yards. Chiefs hit 7 times for 60.
Well, that's 3 in a row to Largent. So now he goes back to the huddle again and says, all right, let's try it one more time. This time, let's get it right.
It is a 3rd and 20 for Seattle back at their 46-yard line. And again, Largent cutting downfield the left side. This time Zorn can't find him.
He found him.
And now Largent came back. He came back to make that reception.
I love it.
However, fall way short of a first down.
The fact that he threw 4 times in a row and the man caught them all. Here goes Largent again. He goes downfield. Now you watch what he does. He goes beyond the marker right there. He's in position for the first down. Sees Zorn in trouble. The only thing you think about doing is going back and helping him out, which he does very well. Catches the football. It doesn't get the first down, but at least they move the ball down the field.
Those 2 guys would be murder in a game of 2-hand touch.
Oh, can you imagine?
Here's Weaver. This time angling it away from Payton. And it took a good Seattle hop. So the Kansas City Chiefs take over with 7:18 remaining fourth quarter.
On NBC.
Well, Steve Largent had a workout on that last series. Thus far today, he has caught 6 for 91 yards.
And the guys in the truck are doing a heck of a job, just trying to stay up with him. That's why he's puffing. They're all down there puffing.
Kansas City taking over now. First down at their 8-yard line off that Herman Weaver punt. This is Reed. Out to the 12-yard line. Tony Reed, second-year man out of Colorado, led by Bob Simmons, the left guard, Tom Condon, the right guard. Dallas Cowboys in front of the New Orleans Saints. And Oakland over Detroit on a Mark Van Egan run. They missed the extra point. They're in the first quarter. Raiders lead 6-0. Coming up following Kansas City and Seattle. Complete wrap-up. Highlights and scores on the Sperry NFL Report right here on NBC. It is a 2nd and 6. And Morgado gets out to the 14-yard line.
We're looking at an overtime game.
We are moving into that possibility. Kansas City obviously looking to get close enough to tie this ball game up. They were able to tie up the game last week against San Diego on the long field goal by Stenerud, and then lost on the final play of overtime as Fouts hit Jefferson. Chiefs coming in at 2-9. Seattle looking for the 500 mark at 5-6. 3rd and 2 call as Morgado was smacked up. Terry Beeson making the stop on Arnold Morgado as Morgado is stopped short of the first down.
I mean this in all respect. This man is an animal. Watch Beeson. You talk about a guy that likes to hit people. He loves the game, and I love to see it. They are going to go for it again on 4th down, inside their 20.
It is 4th and 1. Last time they did this, they did succeed. You may recall they had changed their mind. Right at the end of the 3rd quarter, time ran out. 4th quarter opened up, changed their mind. There it is. Big play for the Kansas City Chiefs. 4th and 1, deep in their own territory. And the handoff is for Morgado, and he's got the first down. So the gamble worked once again, although I can't really consider it a gamble. Marv Levy had no choice. They're down by 3. You have 5:20 remaining 4th quarter. Got to go for it.
All right, they're stacking them up in there. You're going to see Beeson, number 58, go by the play, and Butler, number 53, makes it. Watch 58 go through here. Takes a piece of the lineman, and Butler comes right in to make the play. Morgado with that extra effort picks it up.
Reed, Morgado, and McKnight, the running back. McKnight in motion. Play action as Livingston throws the sideline and broken up. Intended for Marshall, number 89. Webster got a piece of it.
Same play. It's almost like a replay of the play we saw earlier in the last drive. Webster was right there. Marshall goes down, breaks it to the outside, and Webster comes up and knocks the ball away.
4 minutes remaining of this 4th quarter. Cleveland Browns winning big over Baltimore, 38-17. Well, the Browns, who started so well and then faded, doing it to the Colts this afternoon. 2nd and 10 for Kansas City. And Livingston will throw once again with time. Now being chased, able to get it away. Broken up. He waited up there. Dorsey was the intended receiver, and Webster, who appeared to be beaten, was able to backtrack and get a piece of it.
Sign of a fine cornerman. What happens here? Livingston goes back to throw. He pump fakes, holds the defense. Right here, you see it. He breaks back to the outside. Dorsey does what he's supposed to do. He takes off now. But watch Webster. Watch the ground that he covers. Right here. Excellent defensive play by a good football player.
Paul, we have a terrific finish right here at Arrowhead. 4:44 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Livingston should be looking to Walter White, number 88, because the man is open.
Much more for Kansas City off the 24-yard pass play.
Marshall, this is his 3rd great reception. He breaks it across the middle. If you look at Livingston now, he is looking to his left for White. White broke to the outside, and he catches Marshall coming back in at the last second. He beats Webster here. But you got to remember one thing: good offensive line play.
Now there's a timeout called with 4:27 remaining in this fourth quarter, and a
Thanksgiving Day, the interconference clash between the defending AFC champion Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Catch all the action starting with NFL 78 Thursday on NBC.
On that last pass play, with Henry Marshall holding down his third reception, Autry Beeman was shaken up, but he's all right. And we're set to resume. 4:17 remaining fourth quarter. Kansas City on the roof, trailing 13-10. And Livingston has been red hot. This time tipped, but Marshall comes up with it once again. Henry Marshall, the 3-year pro out of Missouri, has caught 4 passes today, and each one has been of the spectacular variety.
All right, now you watch what Marshall does. They got away from that sideline pass pattern. They're bringing him in across the middle now to give him a little bit more room. Webster's right there. Ooh, that's Beeson again. He's crazy.
Well, a first down for Kansas City at the Seattle. I'll make that a 2nd and 1, a 9-yard pickup. 2nd and 1 at the 46-yard line. Double tight end Samuels has come on, replacing Marshall. And the handoff for Reed, who's got the first down easily. Cody Reed ripping through with 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Reed was stopped by the middle linebacker, Terry Beeson. Seattle Seahawks got on the board in the first quarter on a 40-yard field goal by Efren Herrera. David Sims' 10-yard run for his 11th touchdown of the season made it 10-0. Stenerud clicked on a 20-yarder. It was 10-3 at halftime. Herrera hit from 18 early third quarter, giving Seattle a 13-3 lead. And Livingston hit McKnight to make it 13-10. Livingston deep for Marshall this time. Oh! Well, Webster had it and then could not hold on. Cornell Webster, little upset with himself, should have held on as he broke it up.
Just watching Webster play today, this guy's got to eventually be one of the fine pro corners in football. Watch what he does. Marshall goes down, runs a fake out, and then ran a streak down the field towards the goal line. Webster did not hold Webster at all. He stayed right with his man and covered him. This guy's tired, but I'll tell you right now, he's playing a whale of a football game.
And has his hands full with number 89, the 6'2" Henry Marshall.
Now you take Marshall back across the middle again.
2nd and 10, Reed on the sweep. Reed fighting his way to the 35-yard line. Tony Reed with a good second effort. He picked up 8 on the play. Ball was fumbled, and it's recovered by Seattle. So the Seahawks able to recover as Sammy Green came up with that loose football after Reed fought his way on the second effort, picking up extra yardage.
What a terrible way to end a great drive. This team has really been moving the football. You watch Reed, he cuts back to the inside. Number 57, Pete Cronin gets a shot at him, doesn't stop him. Reed goes forward and fumbles right here. And Sammy Green comes up with the football, number 56.
And with 2.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, a timeout called. We'll be back in a moment. As you look at Jan Stenerud, who still may play an important role in this ball game, he was pacing the sidelines with Kansas City moving downfield, but they fumbled for the 5th time today. They've lost 3 of them, and it has cost Seattle taking over. A penalty marker down as Sherman Smith drives across the 40-yard line, tripped up by Dave Rozovic, but a flag down.
Well, it just seems to happen near the end of the game. The officials start to look for an awful lot of things in the middle of the line, and now we're going to have a holding penalty. It's going to be a great break for Kansas City. Not only does it stop the clock, but it moves them back another 10 yards, and it's 1st and 20. Mark Lever's trying to say, will you please penalize him before I scream?
Second quarter score, Green Bay 3, Denver nothing.
Holding. Offense, number 51. First down.
The center, John Yarno, called for the hold. 1st and 20 now for Kansas City, back at their 26-yard line. 2 minutes, 26 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter, and Seattle leading it by the score of 13-10. With the beautiful fake as Art Steele made the stop on Sherman Smith. And a timeout is called by Kansas City, so they now have 2 timeouts remaining. Seattle with 1 left.
Well, they'll see, Marv, on this play what happens if they go into 3rd down. They can go into the 2-minute warning, save a first down there. It'll be 3rd down and whatever, and then take a timeout after the 3rd down play and make him kick the ball, and they'll still have almost 2 minutes with 1 timeout remaining.
And coming up following Seattle and Kansas City, the Sperry NFL Report. Update on all the scores around the National Football League. Coach of the Seattle Seahawks.
He's a good one.
Jack Patera, who was not thinking of his format for his post-game show at that particular moment.
Where's he do that from?
From the field.
Right from here? He'll do that now, back?
It is a 2nd and 17 at the 29-yard line. Important play here for Jim Zorn. Throws the middle. He's got Smith. But they stack him up, led by Clarence Sanders, number 50. Not allowing Smith to wheel for additional yardage. And again, the Chiefs stop the clock. Timeout called. So they are down to 1 timeout left with 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the 4th quarter.
Well, now I was a little bit wrong on it. There's Sherman. Has now caught a pass in 27 consecutive games. He's a good football player. Good, hard-running football player. But I thought that Kansas City would let the clock go down to the 2-minute and save that timeout until later on, but it really doesn't make that much difference now, I guess. You've got 3rd down and 12 to go. That'll give them the full 2 minutes if they hold here.
Well, Jim Zorn looking to warm up that arm. It has been a very brisk day. We might get some snow here in Kansas City this evening.
Why, you staying?
No, Paul.
They might get some snow. We're going to be out of here. I'm going back to sunny Buffalo.
This is balmy weather for you.
Yeah, it is. Play golf today.
3rd and 12 at the 34. All right, Zorn able to unleash for Testament. And Testament is stopped across the 35-yard line. So the Kansas City Chiefs now get the benefit of that 2-minute warning and also will get the football back. A timeout call with the 2-minute warning provided. We'll be back right after these words.
Hi, Dodge. Here's a man with a lot of cool. Watch here now. You see on the left of the screen, Whitney Paul, the linebacker, has Zorn, or he thinks, throws the ball off to Testament right here. Doesn't pick up the 1st down, but he gets it back to the line of scrimmage anyway. And now Kansas City gets the ball back. Marv, I'll tell you one thing. We were watching this game. We said at the beginning, you don't know what Zorn's going to do. Kansas City's kind of surprised us a little bit with their offense.
Here's Herman Weaver getting set to punt. He has booted only 36, 34, 28 his last 3. This time gets hang time, although a very short punt. And down by Steve Rabel. So the Kansas City Chiefs now in excellent field position for this march with 1 minute and 52 remaining in the 4th quarter. Both clubs have 1 timeout remaining. The Chiefs take over at their 41-yard line. Walter White in at tight end. Dorsey out to the left. Marshall, who has been the big man, out to the right. And here's Livingston looking for Marshall, this time not able to hold on. Keith Simpson covering on the play. So 2nd and 10. Now there is Jan Stenerud.
No longer uses a helmet, wears a hat. They need about 30 yards in order for him to be effective, I think.
Stenerud hit one from 20 yards out earlier in the ball game. All right, there's the screen set up.
Arthur Lane.
15-yard line.
And no flags. Boy, did they set this screen up beautifully. They took all the wide receivers downfield. Watch it, it's just a little slip screen out here to MacArthur Lane. Once he breaks to the outside, right here, there's just nobody to touch him. He picked up his blockers downfield, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Or actually ran out of bounds himself. Beeman was there. 136.
Block by Jack Rudnay was able to unleash 36-year-old MacArthur Lane. First out at the 15-yard line. Here's Reed on the sweep, cutting inside the 10-yard line. Tony Reed inside the 10 with 1 minute and 25 remaining in this 4th quarter.
They don't want a tie, Bob. They want it all.
Gregory and Simpson making the stop on Reed. MacArthur Lane has 64 yards in 4 carries. It is a 2nd and 1 at the 6-yard line. The crowd urging the Chiefs on. Here's Lane once again, but he is tripped up. Picked up perhaps a yard on the play. And a timeout is called by Kansas City with 52 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. And that is their final timeout. Seattle with 1 left.
Well, you still have 3rd and 1. You can still pick up a first down. You know, it really has been a pretty good defensive football game. Offensively, there have been some spurts. Largent, mostly by Largent and by Henry Marshall for Kansas City. Those are the 2 guys that really stand out in my mind, the 2 wide receivers, 1 for each team.
3rd down story. Seahawks have converted 5 of 14, Chiefs 10 of 18. So Kansas City has done very well in this situation, and they go back to the wing tee. They have the 3 running backs in there, Tony Reed, Arnold Morgado, and Ted McKnight. 52 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Chiefs looking to come from behind. They have trailed right throughout. Trailing at halftime 10-3, trailing 13-10 right here. And here's the 3rd and 1. And the pitch out is for Reed.
First down.
So Tony Reed has picked it up. And the Chiefs look to get to that line in a hurry. Clock running. 36 seconds remaining. 1st and goal at the 4. And Livingston to throw for the tight end, Tony Samuels, but overthrown. 27 seconds remaining of the 4th quarter. Seattle leading 13-10. And more changes. Marv Levy inserting Henry Marshall. And Larry Dorsey sending the 2 wide receivers in for the 2nd and goal from the 4.
Well, they've been running the ball fairly well, all right? You still have 27 seconds. They can afford to run a play. Now Seattle takes a timeout on top of that other timeout, but they can afford to run one play, which I think that might surprise Seattle. Then come back with a pass to stop the clock to put the game into overtime. I'm going to catch my plane. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Terry Beeson, the middle linebacker, talking it over with the Seattle coaching staff. On the Kansas City bench, head coach Marv Levy. And his quarterback, Mike Livingston, 17 for 32, 228 yards.
And we talked about at the beginning of this game, Marv, in order to stay in the game and to compete with Seattle, you're going to have to throw the football. And that's what he's been doing 32 times today.
All right, here it is, 2nd and goal from the 4. Chiefs down 13-10, 27 seconds left. 4th quarter. And Livingston to throw with much time. Now here they come. Look
He's got
out.
MacArthur Lane on the other side and can't find him.
It is ruled complete. And the clock is stopped with 15 seconds remaining.
Livingston really has all day to throw the ball. The rush is not on. The linemen are not coming. Watch it right here. He fakes. Now look to the left of the screen. There's MacArthur Lane, number 42, is out there all by himself. Of course, Livingston's running for his life. He couldn't find him. He throws the ball, and it's out of bounds inside the 1-yard line. What do you do?
All right, Reed with the reception, stopped by Beeson. And here is the 3rd and goal from the 1. And it is Reed. Fumble. And it's still is now recovered by Seattle. The Seahawks recover with 6 seconds remaining.
Reed is down on the 5-yard line with his head into the ground, and he is really and truly upset. Watch the play on the outside by number 22, Dave Brown. He's the man that really creates havoc. And the ball still squirting around. Beeson, number 58, tried to pick it up. Seattle finally gets the ball. This game is over with. And I'll tell you right now, number 22, Dave Brown, is the man that really fouled everything up. He came across the line, knocked off the blocker, and forced a fumble.
And Jack Patera has to be saying thank you to someone.
It's the first time he smiled, and he has a reason to.
What an unlikely ending. 6th fumble by Kansas City as Zorn just holds on. And they have lost 4 of those 6 fumbles. And that Kansas City locker room will be a morgue now.
You bet.
They had an opportunity to pull out this football game, and they blew it. The fumble by Tony Reed as this ball game has concluded, and the Seahawks have evened up their record at 6-6. And a disappointing ending for the Chiefs of Kansas City, who are coming on, but they lose it 13-10 to Seattle.
I do think that Kansas City is going to have to really take a hard look at that wing team, Marvin, come back, because they did a job when they went to the regular formation, throwing the football to Marshall and the other wide receivers.
So, once again, our final score, the Seattle Seahawks 13 and the Kansas City Chiefs 10. This is Marv Albert with Paul McGuire from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The executive producer of NBC's NFL Football is Don O'Meara. Today's telecast produced by Roy Hammerman. Directed by John Gonzalez. Our associate director, John Filippelli. Remember, this Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, NFL 78, followed by the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. It all starts at 12 noon Eastern Time. And next Sunday, an NFL doubleheader. Check your local listings for the games and time in your area. Now, stay tuned for the Sperry NFL Report. It's
Sperry NFL Report, brought to you by Sperry Rand Corporation, whose commitment to the future is making machines do more so man can do more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our New York studios. I'm Bryant Gumbel. Mike Adamle is in our Highlight Center. We're just about halfway done with week number 12. Together, Mike and I will try to get you caught up. San Diego against Minnesota, a pair of clubs with winning streaks, played today in Bloomington. The Chargers had won 3 straight, the Vikings 4 straight, but it is the Chargers streak that's still alive tonight. They won at 13-7. Fran Tarkenton had to put the ball in the air 42 times, completed only 27 of them. Meanwhile, the Chargers dominated the ball game at the line of scrimmage, and Mike Adamle was following it from kickoff time. Mike, the West Coast team played pretty well in the snow.
It was 15 degrees cold, 3 inches of snow on the ground, yet San Diego's ground game did the Vikings in this afternoon. The Vikings did get on the board first when the old master, Fran Tarkenton, look at those stats, 27 for 42. Hits Ricky Young, leading receiver in the NFL, to put the Vikings in front 7-0. Hank Bauer evened the score at 7-7 with this 1-yard run. And then later on in the third quarter, after the rest of the scoreless first half, Dan Fouts slips, fires to John Jefferson. The extra point was missed. 13-7 final. The Vikings now drop to 8-4 in the NFC Central Division. They are awaiting the outcome of the Denver-Green Bay game. The story in D.C. Stadium, where the Washington Redskins were entertaining the St. Louis Cardinals. The Redskins needed a win to stay atop on the NFC's Eastern Division, but they ran into the hot Cardinals. And a super sub, kind of did it for him. A cast-off from the Green Bay Packers. Number 39, Willard Harrell, fields his punt on his 30-yard line from Mike Bragg, and watch him go. Ain't nobody going to touch him. 70 yards and all, and that put the Cardinals on top 7-0. The Cardinals got a lot of big plays, especially from Jim Hart. They got a little bit lucky, too. Watch Hart go to the air. He's looking for Mel Gray. Mel tips the ball right into the hands of Eason Ramsden to make it 14-0 Cardinals. Hart wanted to put more points on the board. He's going to the air, and it's intercepted by Gerard Williams. Theismann wasted no time on a first down play. Theismann finds John McDaniel over Lee Nelson to make the score 14-7, but they were no match for the St. Louis Cardinals as Bud Wilkinson wins his 4th straight game. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots. The Jets needed a very big win today to keep their playoffs hopes alive. They played well, but not good enough to win. Their defense played especially well, as evidenced by this play. 3rd and 7 from their own 25. Grogan back to pass. He is intercepted by number 22, Burgess Owens, his 5th interception of the year. Burgess goes all the way down to the 1-yard line where Grogan finally trips him up. Horace Ivory, the great running back for the Patriots, made it 16-10 with this run in the 3rd quarter. But Matt Robinson, who replaced injured Richard Todd, finds Wesley Walker in between Mike Haynes and Timmy Fox for a 56-yard touchdown pass, 17-16. Posey had a chance, kicked the field goal for the Patriots to knot it for the Patriots. Leahy had a chance to win it. We'll be back with more.
Or so man can do more.
In that Jets-Patriots game, Matt Robinson had to finish up. Richard Todd re-injured his shoulder. He is out for the season, we understand. Philadelphia and the Giants. The Giants lost by the same score the Jets did, only they did it in a much worse fashion. They gave up 13 fourth-quarter points to the Philadelphia Eagles, and there it was, 19-17, the final there. Buffalo against Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers, this is a lot of points for them, 31-10. They did it over the Bills, and as usual, it was their defense that played exceptional at only 79 yards rushing. Mike Adamle, that defense is an exceptional unit. The offense played almost as well today as that defense did.
Well, they sure did. In particular, quarterback Mike Gray subbing for the injured Doug Williams. He threw 2 touchdown passes. Ricky Bale had a good first half before leaving with an injured knee. Here he scores from 12 yards out to put the Bucs on top 7-0. Mike Gray later on goes back to pass, finds Morris Owens working in a one-on-one situation against Charles Romes. Morris has him beat in the end zone to make it 17-3 in favor of Tampa Bay. And then Ray came back with this touchdown pass, his second of the day, to Jimmy Giles, number 88. Tampa Bay, just too much for the Buffalo Bills. They are preparing for next year's season.
Okay, Mike. Also too much for New Orleans Saints today with Dallas Cowboys. They did a 27-7 over the Saints right there. Tony Dorsett went over the 1,000-yard mark for the season, and Robert Newhouse fractured a bone in his left leg. Seattle against Kansas City. Well, the Seahawks do it one more time. They reach the 500 mark at 6-6. Final there at 13-10, and once again, the Chiefs played just good enough to lose by a close margin. And Mike, what seems to be the Chiefs' problem?
They're an extremely young team, as Marv Levy will attest, and they make a lot of mistakes. Today, they coughed up the ball 4 times, even had a chance to win it before Tony Reed coughed it up. Of course, when you play against Seattle, you got to worry about the arm of Jim Zorn. Here he hits Steve Largent to set up a touchdown for Seattle. Zorn hands off to David Sims to complete that touchdown play. Sims, with a nice piece of individual work here, reverses his field and scores his 11th touchdown of the season. That's tops in the NFL. That made it 10-0 in favor of Seattle. In the fourth quarter, Kansas City trying to get back into the ball game. Mike Livingston hits number 81, Tony Samuels, to set up this touchdown pass to number 22, Ted McKnight. Watch him roll out there. That made it 13-10, and I said Tony Reed had a chance to win the ball game. He was going into the end zone as the clock ticked off. He dropped the ball. Seattle won the game. Crazy finish.
Crazy finish all for Marv Levy, too, I'm afraid. Cleveland and Baltimore. Cleveland a winner in this one, 45-24 over the struggling Colts. 3 touchdown passes. Sipes to Calvin Hill, 53 yards, 38 yards, and 23 yards. And Calvin Hill, a late-season acquisition, comes up looking very, very big for the Cleveland Browns and Sam Rutigliano. The Brownies now go 6-6 to keep their very, very slim playoff hopes alive. We'll be back after this word from Sperry. Future is making machines do more, so man can do more. Bryant Gumbel along with Mike Adamle. We've been going through the finals of week number 12. Some highlights. We'll try to get you caught up. Atlanta against the Bears. 2 teams riding streaks once again. Falcons had won 5 in a row. Bears had lost 8 in a row. Seemed perfect for the Falcons to win, but it didn't turn out that way. The Bears won at 13-7. Walter Payton had a touchdown. Bob Thomas kicked a couple of field goals. Steve Bartkowski, a 7-yard pass to Jim Mitchell early in the ball game, was the only score the Falcons could put on the board. They go 7-5. The Bears go 4-8. Green Bay against Denver. The Packers trying to get up off the carpet after being walked all over by the Dallas Cowboys last week. Today they're going against a very tough defense in the Denver Broncos. It's a defensive struggle right now, and it's 3-0 in the second period. The Packers out in front of a 19-yard field goal by Chester Markle. The Oakland Raiders, who have not been playing exceptionally well, but all they've been doing is winning, are winning today against the Detroit Lions. This one stands at 13-0 in the second period. Mark Van Egan has a couple of short plunges, both of them from 1 yard out to have the Raiders out in front. The Lions have been playing very, very well. They stand at 4-7 on the year, but they've won 3 of their last 4. Cincinnati against Pittsburgh. This one seems tailor-made for the Steelers. They're carrying a 9-2 record. The Bengals are just 1-10, and they're playing at Three Rivers Stadium, where the Bengals have never won. Steelers are out in front 7-3. Chris Barr got the Bengals up with a 29-yard field goal, but Rocky Bleier has gone in from 1 yard out. And Mike Adamle, I guess if you're a team like Cincinnati coming into Pittsburgh to play and you're 1-10, you've got to feel like the whole world's against you.
Yeah, the thing that's surprising is you really have nothing to lose when you're 1-10 and playing against a team that you never beat in their home stadium. Why not go crazy? Heck with this being conservative. They weren't conservative right off the bat. They went long with a couple of long passes. We're going to watch one right here. Kenny Anderson going for Pat McInally. Ball's on the 46-yard line. And watch this pass. McInally subbing for the injured Billy Brooks. Gets in between Donnie Shell and Ron Johnson all the way down to the 4-yard line. However, Cincinnati couldn't convert. Matt Farr had to settle for a field goal. In the first quarter, 3rd and 8, Bradshaw hits John Stallworth, number 82, to set up this touchdown run by Rocky Bleier from 2 yards out at 7-3 in favor of the Steelers. I just don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do anything to wreck that streak, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers at Three Rivers.
Mike, very quickly, is it a mental thing when you haven't beaten a team that long at that place?
That's a great understatement. I guess it is. You'd have to wonder after a while, you know, maybe our time is up. Maybe we'll roll double sixes or something to beat these guys, but it just hasn't happened yet.
It's defying the odds to keep it going, right? At LA against San Francisco, these two teams have a habit of pounding up on each other and splitting the season series. The Rams won the first affair. This one stands at 7-7. We understand it's now 14-7 LA. The Rams out in front in the second period. We'll come back to more right after this word from Sperry. Say goodbye for week number 12. Before we slip away, though, we'd like to remind you that we'll be with you twice during week number 13, beginning Thanksgiving Day, and we're looking forward to a big day. We'll be here at 12 noon Eastern Time with NFL 78. That to be followed by a game between the Broncos and the Lions from Pontiac, Michigan. On our NFL 78 show, we'll take a look at just how the candidates go about winning the Heisman. Sometimes the dominant efforts are not put forth on the field. Then we'll take 2 days off and come back again Sunday with a big doubleheader here on NBC. We're looking forward to 2 AFC Eastern matchups with the Jets going against the Dolphins and the Colts going against the Patriots. We suggest you check your local listings for the game in your area. The Sperry NFL Report has been brought to you by Sperry Rand Corporation, whose commitment to the future is making machines do more so man can do more. The executive producer of NFL 78 is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show was produced by Don McGuire, directed by Steve Rosen. Our technical director was Sal Nagita. Once again, as we look forward to week number 13, we ask you to join us Thanksgiving Day, when following the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, we'll be here with NFL 78 at 12 noon Eastern Time. That to be followed by a big interconference affair matching the Denver Broncos against the Detroit Lions in Pontiac, Michigan. For Mike Adamle and all of us here at NFL 78, I'm Bryant Gumbel. Thanks for joining us. Good night.